Your Majesty, what are your thoughts about this? The four ministers turned toward the man sitting on the golden throne and questioned. The man had black hair and a beautiful pair of purple eyes. There were some wrinkles on his face, however, he had maintained himself and he still looked handsome. The man had a lean and fit body, which showed he had trained his body regularly. He wore a white coat with stylish golden-colored designs that were masterfully carved on it. There was a golden crown on his head, and he sat on the throne with an elegant yet bored look on his face. However, though he looked a little lethargic and leisurely, he should not be underestimated. This man was the strongest in the Skyfall Kingdom, a king stage cultivator, the king of the Skyfall Kingdom, Ricardus Skyfall. A frown appeared on Ricardus's face as he heard his minister's question. "Why are we discussing something so useless?" he muttered with a bored look on his face. The ministers glanced at each other with frowns on their faces. However, Ricardus didn't care what they were thinking and continued. "A spy? Don't talk like it is something new. There must be more than 20 spies within our royal palace. That is normal. As for whether that girl is lying or not, who cares?" the king questioned, and the ministers shook their heads and sighed. They were too naive to think that he would even care. What does that marquis achieve from all this? Who cares? What is his goal? Who cares? In the end, they are just a marquis and a subhead maid. Don't give them more importance than they deserve. Just give a reward to the marquis for his hard work and get done with it. As for that maid, interrogate her for a few more days. If she doesn't answer, kill her. We don't have time for something so useless. Discuss more important topics," the king announced, and then a smile appeared on his face as he turned towards Gibson. "So, have you found a way to deal with that annoying curse? This is the important topic you want to talk about?" This is what Gibson wanted to ask. However, he didn't dare. He just shook his head and sighed. "I have sent our men all over the world to find the cure of that curse, let alone know about its cure. There's no progress." A tired sigh escaped from other ministers' mouths. The king then slammed his armrest in anger as he growled, "That scatty bastard! I will make sure he pays for it." The ministers looked at each other with worried looks on their faces. They knew that the king was angry, therefore they did not say anything. This was normal. They just needed to stay silent for a while and everything will be fine. And they were right. A minute later, the king finally calmed and sighed. Then he glanced at his ministers and instructed, "Continue looking for the cure." "Yes, Your Majesty," Gibson nodded with a bow. Continue with the reports." "Yes, so to conclude Report 4, I will announce Marquis Alger Bannermain's rewards. Marquis Alger Bannermain will receive 5,000 gold coins, 3 4-star weapons, and 1 4-star cultivation technique as a reward for revealing a spy that was hiding inside the royal palace as the subhead maid. The king commends him for his bravery and wits and hopes he continues the Skyfall Kingdom in the future as well." Blah, blah, blah. There was a lot more, but I didn't bother hearing everything that was announced. Allura, who was snuggled close to Nux's chest, muttered with a lazy look on her face. She just had a blissful session with Nux, and therefore she was still a little tired. Plus, Nux's embrace was just too comforting. She couldn't help but be lazy. "Ha ha ha, so the plan succeeded, huh?" Nux, who patted Allura's head, muttered. "I can't believe you would portray my kidnapping as a spy hunt," Allura replied with a lazy look on her face. "Well, I needed a reason to move everyone from the area," Nux chuckled. "But I have a question." "Ask away." "Why did you do it?" Allura raised her head. Her blue eyes looked into Nux's golden eyes and she questioned. "Well, there were a few reasons. First, I wanted you." Nux smiled. But I would have been yours either way. You didn't have to do something so crazy, Allura answered with a small blush. That would have taken too long. If I used the normal method, I would still be finding ways to take you out to lunch. There was no way I would be able to lay down beside you on the same bed while we both are naked like this. Nux moved his face close to Allura's body and whispered, "You are a little too beautiful, Allura. I couldn't control myself and moved recklessly." Allura's face was completely red now, and she had lowered her head in embarrassment. "What were the other reasons?" she questioned in a mosquito-like voice. Actually, now she didn't care about the reasons, however, she was too embarrassed right now, therefore she needed to change the topic. Well, the other reasons were related to Edda. She wanted to avenge all the people Edrea had killed, and she didn't want to dirty her own or my hands. Nux answered. And Allura pouted. I know her well. The first reason is just something she came up with. I'm sure the main reason was that she wanted to kill herself. This way she could spend all the time with you, Allura snorted. Ha ha, that's true too, Nux agreed. Actually, Edda admitted it herself. She doesn't care about Edrea, she just wanted to be with him. However, he was different. That maid dared to target his woman. His possessive side took over. He wanted revenge. And he got it. Tisk tisk, what a greedy bitch. I want to leave this palace and stay with you as well, Allura complained. Then a sad look appeared on Nux's face. We can't do that right now. I know, the death of a head maid won't be a problem. However, if a concubine dies, the king would use all his force to investigate everything seriously. He won't settle down unless he finds out how his trophy was broken. Indeed, and currently we can't face the king. I need more power to do that, and I will need your help as well. A small smile appeared on Allura's face as she replied, I will help you in any way I can, Nux. Nux smiled. Then he sealed Allura's lips. Allura, of course, accepted the kiss and used her tongue to attack Nux's tongue. The kiss got lewder and lewder. Nux then grabbed Allura's naked body and pulled her even close to him. The two then rolled on the bed as they shared a hot, passionate kiss. Suddenly, Nux broke the kiss as he stood up. What happened? Allura questioned. However, soon, just like Nux, her expression turned serious as well. Nux and Allura quickly wore their clothes. Then they glanced at each other and nodded. They then walked out of the room. Then Nux and Allura turned towards a corner where the light didn't reach. Soon, Nux frowned. However, he trusted his ability and walked towards the dark corner. As he walked closer, Nux finally noticed a dark veil of mist. Nux extended his hand towards the veil, however, suddenly a dagger that was aimed at his throat was shot. Nux extended his hand towards the veil. However, suddenly, a dagger that was aimed at his throat was shot. However, before the dagger could hit him, Nux grabbed the dagger with his hand and glanced at the man wearing black clothes standing in front of him. You really saw something you shouldn't. What a bad luck, Nux chuckled. The man in black, however, didn't reply. Another dagger appeared in his hand and he attacked. However, Nux wasn't having any of it. He just slapped the man in front of him and... The man's body flew back and crashed into the wall. Bam! Crack! That was loud. Suddenly, Allura panicked. She was still in Royal Palace. With this sound, servants and guards would be running here right now. Nux, you have to leave. I will take care of this man. Leave quick. Allura walked towards Nux and tried to push him away. She was so panicked right now that she doesn't even realize her voice was louder than the crash's sound. Allura, suddenly Nux called out. However, Allura didn't like that one bit. Why are you so calm? Run away! What are you doing? Allura shouted again. Allura, do you really think this sound was louder than your moans? Huh? Suddenly, Allura paused. She then registered what Nux said, and she blushed. I'm not that loud." "You are louder than this, Allura," Nux smiled. I'm not. Allura didn't want to agree. Soon, Nux shook his head and walked toward Allura. Then he placed her head on his chest and patted her gently. "Don't worry, it is nothing to be ashamed of. Rather, it makes me happy to know that you enjoy spending time with me." Allura's face turned even redder as she enjoyed the pats. However, soon she realized something and her eyes widened. Then, does that mean many people heard my moans? Then Allura started panicking again. "Doesn't that mean we are exposed? Nux, let's run away. We are already exposed. I don't know why the king and his soldiers aren't here yet, but they will be here soon." Allura exclaimed in panic. However, rather than sharing her panic, Nux just smiled. Seeing this, Allura frowned. She stayed silent and started thinking things logically. Something is wrong. Nux wouldn't make a stupid mistake like this, and if he did, he definitely wouldn't be so calm about it. "What is it?" In the end, she questioned. Nux's smile widened, and he questioned, "So you finally realized? What did you do?" Allura didn't answer and questioned back. "You don't have to worry about sound. You can talk or moan as loud as you want. No one will be able to hear it outside this hall." Then Nux started explaining. Sound seal. 5-star ability. Description: the host can seal the sound within a targeted zone. No one outside the zone can hear any sound coming from inside the zone. Range: the maximum zone the host can seal is a sphere with a radius of 10 meters. Consumes 1 MP every hour. Note, the host has to be inside the zone for it to work. As soon as the host leaves the zone, the seal breaks. Price: 2,000 system points. Obviously, if he's going to enter the royal palace to spend some quality time with the royal concubine, Allura Skyfall, he has to make some preparations. The only reason he bought this ability was to let Allura moan as much as she wanted. However, there were some things that he found were a little weird. First, the tier of this ability. It was a 5-star skill. To be honest, I didn't think it deserves such a high rating. Professional Killer. His passive ability, which is only a 3-star ability, is much more useful and better than this ability. Not only that, Sound Seal is the only ability that consumes his MP. He didn't use any MP for any other ability. Last but not least, Harem Seal. For some reason, his woman can't use this ability, even though it's an active skill. Nux found this a little weird. However, at that time he was a little busy and didn't think too much about it. Of course, this is not the only thing he did as preparation. Name: Nux Leander. Age: 18. Mana Cultivation: Grand Master. Body Cultivation: Grand Master. Talent: Medium. Level: 40. HP: 1040 out of 1040. MP: 1500 out of 1500. STR: 106. AGL: 116. VIT: 104. STM: 143. INT: 99 to 150. DEF: 103. Blank points: 160 to 109. He increased his INT as well. Now, only a cultivator whose MP is more than 4,500 can find him. Right now, Nux didn't know how strong an expert or king stage cultivator is. Neither has he seen their status. He was just using assumptions to calculate the increase in the MP after a cultivator breaks through. However, since he was not sure about this, he refrained from taking unnecessary risks and increased his INT to a ridiculous level. "So, you're saying I can moan as loudly as I want and nothing will happen?" Allura, who heard about Nux's ability, questioned. "You talk as if you ever hold back," Nux snickered. I hold back, you know," Allura muttered. "And you are still so loud even though you hold back?" Nux questioned. I mean, I try to hold back, you know." Allura lowered her head in embarrassment. Nux laughed out. Then he carried Allura into his arms and walked into the room. Allura smiled. However, while she was being carried, her eyes fell on a man wearing black-colored skin-tight clothes who lay on the floor, unconscious. "Nux," she called out. "What is it?" Nux questioned. "We forgot about the spy." She couldn't believe that they forgot about the one for whom they came out of their room in the first place. Nux paused. Then he turned back and saw the black-clothed man as well. Then a wry smile appeared on his face as he admitted, "That was careless of me." Royce Tatum. Age, 49. Mana cultivation, master. Body cultivation, mortal. Race, human. Occupation, spy of the Thousand Information Chamber. Talent, medium. LVL, 34. HP, 390/410. MP, 610/610. STR, 44. AGL, 42. VIT, 41. STM, 42. INT, 61. DEF, 40. Nux glanced at the man in front of him and his eyes widened in surprise. The Thousand Information Chamber, a familiar name. This is the organization that makes Filberta special. Indirectly, it is also the organization that protected Filberta. For Nux, it was a good organization. Till now. He didn't care if the organization was good or not, but if the organization has its eyes on his Allura, then they are definitely messing with the wrong person. However, Nux was a little surprised right now. They were in the royal palace, the safest place in the whole Skyfall kingdom. Was Thousand Information Chamber so strong that it even has the royal palace under its eyes? Not a random spy, but a master stage spy was roaming freely inside the royal palace and around a concubine's room to boot. What the hell? How is this possible? Aren't they afraid of the strongest being in this kingdom? Aren't they afraid of the king? Or are they stronger than the king? Questions like these started popping up in Nux's mind. Then, however, he shook his head. There is no use thinking about it. He should just ask the man in front of him. "Have you removed the poison out of his mouth?" Allura questioned. "Yes, I have," Nux nodded. He then grabbed a jar full of water and splashed the water on the spy's face. The spy tightly closed his already closed eyes. Then, after rubbing his eyes, he finally opened them, and his eyes fell on Nux and Allura. He quickly recalled what happened, and just as he was about to attack, Nux interrupted. "Don't bother. You won't win anyway. For God's sake, you passed out with a single slap. What the hell are you trying to act so tough for?" Nux shook his head. The spy narrowed his eyes, however. He knew Nux wasn't wrong. Then he started looking around as his mind started moving. However, before he could even formulate a plan, Nux interrupted his thoughts again. "Don't try to run away either. Look, dude, I am not stupid. If I wasn't confident enough to stop you from running away, I would have tied you. Act calmly and think properly. I don't want a Thousand Information Chamber spy to die in front of me." The spy's eyes widened in surprise as he questioned, "What are you talking about?" He tried acting ignorantly. "Oh, please, I'm not here to play this game. Look, I have a good impression of the Thousand Information Chamber. You guys have helped me before, so I will give you a chance where you don't have to kill yourself or go through torture." The spy narrowed his eyes. He doesn't know why or how, but the man in front of him knew he was from the Thousand Information Chamber. There was no point in him lying. "How do you know I'm from the Thousand Information Chamber?" the spy questioned with a cautious look on his face. "As I said, I have dealt with Thousand Information Chamber before and have a good impression of them. The moment I saw you, I knew you were from that organization." Is he talking about the skill I used? The spy thought inwardly, and suddenly he realized something. How did these two find me? There was no way anyone could have found him when he used that skill in the dark. However, this man and Lady Allura walked out of the room and directly walked towards him. It was as if they already knew he was here. He's not normal, the spy concluded. What chance are you talking about? Then the spy questioned. A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he replied, It is simple. In exchange for your life, I want you to forget whatever you saw here, and I want you to do one thing for me. The spy narrowed his eyes as he muttered, That isn't very descriptive. What is it that you don't understand? What is this thing you want me to do? The spy questioned. That I do not know. However, I am sure owing a favor to a spy of the 1,000 Information Chamber won't harm me, Nux smiled. So, you want me to owe you a favor so you can use me later? The spy questioned. Indeed. Most probably I would ask you for some information directly. Of course, you can't tell it to the 1,000 Information Chamber. That deal would be between the two of us. So, you want me to owe you a favor so you can use me later? The spy questioned. Indeed. Most probably I would ask you for some information directly. Of course, you can't tell it to the 1,000 Information Chamber. That deal would be between the two of us. I will not tell you anything that will harm the 1,000 Information Chamber in any way, the spy replied. I don't plan to do against 1,000 Information Chamber. Then a small smile appeared on Spy's face, and he moved his hand for a handshake. Deal. Nux and the spy shook hands with smiles on their faces. What an idiot! That was the only thought in Spy's mind. This man in front of him may be strong, but he was an idiot. Who in the hell trusts a spy? That is just so stupid. However, what the spy didn't know was that the man in front of him had the same thoughts as him. What an idiot! Nux's smile widened as he proceeded with his plan. So, are you willing to be my slave? Slave? The spy frowned. Well, you owe me a favor, and you will do anything I say to you. That is a slave, is it not? The spy frowned even more. I am not your slave. I do not owe you a lifetime favor. I only owe you one favor. That doesn't make me your slave. But you still owe me one favor. That makes you my slave. I'm sorry, but if you don't answer my question, the deal is off. Suddenly, Nux muttered with a frown. The spy frowned as well. The deal was too good for him to turn it down, especially now that he can get out of this situation without paying any price whatsoever. Oh, fuck it. It's not like I will do that one favor for him either. I just need to say it. All right, the spy nodded. Nux's smile widened as he questioned, So, are you willing to be my slave? You betrayed me, Royce the spy muttered in a hoarse voice. Right now, he was lying on the ground, his face was pale, and he was breathing heavily while his eyes were wide open. Yes, you guessed it right. He went through that agonizing pain 3 times. Thoughts about betraying Master Nux, there was nothing like that in his mind now. However, he was still unhappy that he was cheated. Well, you can't really blame that on me. You were the one who was stupid enough to trust someone, especially someone you tried to peep on and had discovered their secrets. Nux just shrugged. Royce couldn't help but grit his teeth. He was too careless. This man in front of him reeked of trouble. He's a Grand Master Stage at such a young age. He knew that he was from 1,000 Information Chamber with one glance, and he was with the royal concubine in the middle of the night, inside the royal palace. There was no way he could be someone normal. Royce regretted it. He should have been 100 times more cautious when he met this man. However, he did exactly the opposite. Nux, however, did not care what Royce felt. He just needed information. All right, now answer me. Who sent you here? Royce, of course, didn't have any thoughts about hiding anything from Nux, and he answered, Kelton Eckerg. Who is he? What is his cultivation level? Why did he send you here? Nux asked. Another series of questions. He's a Grand Master Stage cultivator, and he is the leader of Thousand Information Chamber. As for why did he send me here, I do not know. Royce answered honestly. So you're telling me that the leader of the glorified Thousand Information Chamber is a mere Grand Master Stage cultivator? Not only that, a spy who is just a Master Stage cultivator reports directly to the leader of the organization? How is this organization even working? Nux couldn't help but wonder. As for Alora and Royce, who heard him, their lips twitched. A mere Grand Master Stage? Just Master Stage? What the hell? Do you know how many people are stuck in these realms for their entire life? Was Master Stage weak? Was Grand Master Stage weak? No, it was not. We are an organization that deals with spying and information, Master Nux. We are not fighters. Royce then calmed his anger and answered politely. I understand that, but a Master Stage cultivator reporting directly to the leader doesn't feel very believable to me, Nux muttered, and Royce's lips twitched again. He was sure that Master Nux was doing this on purpose. However, even though he couldn't do anything against him, he answered a bit rudely. Master Nux, the Thousand Information Chamber doesn't just choose people randomly. If you want to become a high-ranking spy in Thousand Information Chamber, you need to pass through strict requirements. If you don't pass those requirements, then even if you're an expert stage cultivator, you won't be accepted. What are the conditions? You need to have affinity with both fire and wind elements, and I have a medium-level affinity with both of them, Royce muttered with a proud look on his face. Now Nux understood. He had read and learned about this world a little. He knew that having an affinity for more than one element was rare. If Thousand Information Chamber actually only recruits people with dual affinity for fire and wind, then it makes complete sense for a Master Stage cultivator to report directly to the leader. All right, so where is this leader? Nux questioned. He wanted to have a little talk with the leader. I do not know. However, Royce shook his head. Didn't you say you report directly to the leader? Nux questioned with a frown. I do, however, I do not know where the leader lives. I just follow the orders he gives and then meets him at the set time and place. When are you going to meet him again? Nux questioned. I need to report what I found here to him, so the next meeting is after 2 hours. Of course, I will only report what you want me to, Royce answered. A satisfied smile appeared on Nux's face and he nodded. I will go with you and see this leader you were talking about. As for what you will report, just say that you saw nothing and Lady Alora was sleeping calmly. You are going to go with me? Yes, but don't worry, I will hide myself, Nux answered. Royce then shook his head and then nodded. All right, leave the room now. Don't disturb us for the next 2 hours. Nux kicked him out. Then he turned towards Alora and smiled. We have 2 hours, darling. He has been with Alora for 2 days now, so he knew she liked it when he called her more intimately. A small smile appeared on Alora's face and she nodded. Whatever are we going to do in these 2 hours? Alora questioned jokingly. How about we play a game? Nux questioned seductively. How about we fuck a stupid game and continue with a much more pleasurable step? An alluring smile appeared on Alora's charming face, and she questioned back. Nux did not need anything. He just picked Alora up and jumped onto the bed. 2 hours quickly passed by. Right now, Nux was walking beside Royce with a smile on his face, and for Royce, his face was stiff. Didn't he say he would hide? Why is he following me? That was the only question in his mind. He was scared of what would happen when they met the leader. Although he knew his master Nux was a Grand Master Stage cultivator as well, his leader was someone who had affinities with 2 elements. He was a lot stronger than a normal Grand Master Stage. stopped thinking about nonsense and continued walking. Suddenly, he heard Nux's order in his head, and Royce continued walking. A few minutes later, they walked into a dark hall and Royce stopped. "Why did you stop?" Nux questioned. "Master Nux, this is the meeting spot." "What? You're going to meet the leader of the 1,000 Information Chamber here, inside the royal palace?" "Yes, Master Nux. Not only that, but I believe that the leader lives in the royal palace as well. Of course, this is just my assumption." "The leader of such a big organization lives inside the royal palace, right inside the core of the kingdom. What kind of balls does one need to have to pull something like that?" Nux was shocked. He couldn't help but open his mouth in disbelief. He then waited for a few minutes, and soon a figure covered in black mist appeared in front of them. Step, step, step. The closer it walked, the paler Royce's face got. He turned his head from Nux to the leader, then back to Nux, and started panicking. "You're not going to hide, Master Nux." In the end, he couldn't control himself and questioned. "Don't worry, he can't see me," Nux answered, and as proving his point, the leader muttered, "Beta, what are you looking around for, and why is your face so pale?"
"Beta, what are you looking around for, and why is your face so pale?" The leader of the 1,000 Information Chamber questioned in a hoarse voice. He was still covered with a veil of black mist, therefore his face wasn't visible. However, Royce could tell from his tone that he had a frown on his face. "He can't see him?" Royce thought inwardly, and his eyes widened in shock. Master Nux was standing just in front of the leader. Why can't he see him? Is this another one of his weird abilities? Royce thought inwardly. However, before he could think too much, the leader questioned again. "Beta, are you okay? Why aren't you answering my question? Was what you found too shocking for you?" "Oh, it's nothing like that, leader. I was just spacing out. Sorry about that. As for what I found, to be honest, everything was normal, I think." As for Nux, he glanced at the leader of the 1,000 Information Chamber as his golden eyes shined brightly. Name: Kelton Akerg. Age: 62. Mana cultivation: Grand Master. Body cultivation: Mortal. Race: Human. Occupation: Vice Leader of the 1,000 Information Chamber. Talent: High. LVL: 44. HP: 570 over 570. MP: 800 over 800. STR: 54. AGL: 61. VIT: 57. STM: 53. INT: 80. DEF: 51. Information about the man named Kelton Akerg appeared in front of Nux's eyes, and soon he found something interesting. A vice leader, huh? His eye of discerning was as helpful as always. It was very hard for one to hide secrets, and this Kelton Akerg guy failed to do so as well. However, Nux had to admit, Kelton's control over that black mist was much better than Royce's, which is understandable. Although he was not a leader, he was still a vice leader of an organization like 1,000 Information Chamber. Who is the leader then? Is he an expert stage cultivator? Nux started thinking, and soon his curiosity took over, and he decided, he is going to follow this Kelton guy. Nux then waited patiently. Kelton and Royce talked for 15 more minutes, and finally, "All right, you can leave now," Kelton ordered. "Yes, leader," Royce bowed and then walked away. Nux had already told her he would stay here. Royce was free, for now. After Royce walked away, a frown appeared on Kelton's face, and he started thinking. Then he turned around as well and walked into the darkness. If it wasn't for his sense, Nux would have had a hard time following him. However, since he did have sense, the black mist covering Kelton didn't help him hide at all. Nux then followed Kelton for 10 minutes, and then he stopped in front of a room and knocked. Knock, knock, knock. "Enter," an emotionless voice was heard.
Kelton then entered the room and bowed. Lady Amaya. Nux, who entered the room behind him, couldn't help but be shocked when he saw a woman sitting inside a lavish room. The woman had long dark black hair, juicy red lips, a thin nose, and a peerless face. Nux wouldn't say that out loud, but she was the most beautiful woman he had ever met. A perfect face, a perfect body. It was as if this woman was born to define the word perfect. Her breasts weren't large, but they weren't small either. Her body wasn't curvy, it was more lean. However, combining it with her divine face, she was outright gorgeous. "What have you found out?" the woman named Amaya questioned. "The spy said that he hasn't found anything. However, I have an inkling that he is lying." "Huh? What do you mean? Why would he lie?" Amaya frowned. "That I do not know. However, I am very certain that he was lying. His face was paler than usual, his eyes were wandering around as if he was looking for something, and the way his eyes were blinking, he looked afraid of something as well." Hearing this, Amaya frowned even more. She trusted Kelton a lot, however, she still couldn't believe him. All the spies are trained and have gone through different torture. Very few things can actually scare them. Also, the spies are extremely loyal. Why would they lie? She couldn't understand. "Why is he lying, though?" Amaya questioned. "I do not know." Kelton shook his head. He does not have any answer to that question. Beta has worked under him for a long time now. He knew how loyal he is. If it was before, he would have never imagined Beta lying to him. However, today the signs were just too obvious. What can possibly make him betray us? Money? Torture? What is it? Kelton started thinking. However, no matter how hard he thought, nothing came to his mind. Heh! Suddenly he heard a small chuckle. He raised his head and saw that there was a smile on Amaya's face. "I knew something was wrong with that Allura." "Huh? What do you mean?" Kelton questioned. "Think about it, Kelton. With the whole Edda incident, where they say Edda and Marquis teamed up to catch a spy, the king's minister and the security department must have overlooked this detail. However, it didn't escape my eyes." "What are you talking about?" "They say Edda bullied Edria and forced her to do more work, right?" "Yes." "And how did Edda do this? She gave all her work to Edria. But what was she doing while Edria did her part?" "Huh?" "She walked into Allura's room and talked with her. Now, from what I know, Edda and Allura weren't that close before. Of course, this is not the first time Allura has taken interest in some maids. However, this interest lasted a lot longer than normal. Normally, Allura would never talk to someone for more than 2 days. However, she and Edda talked with each other for 7 days. This is not normal at all. And then, suddenly, Edda disappeared." As she talked, Kelton started thinking as well. There was something wrong here indeed. Nux, who heard everything, couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. What in the hell? Why is someone suspecting Allura? Where in the hell did her name come from? And why does what she say sound so logical? Who is this woman?
"Allura," Nux called through their link. "What is it? Did you find anything?" Allura questioned. "What do you know about Amaya Skyfall?" Nux didn't answer her question. Instead, he questioned back. "Amaya? Why do you want to know about her?" Allura frowned. "You know her?" "Of course I do. She's a royal concubine, just like me. However, that child is a lot more pitiful than me," Allura answered. "Tell me everything you know about her." Nux didn't say anything and just asked what Allura knew. "Well, 10 years ago, Kingdom of Skadi attacked the Skyfall Kingdom. Of course, it was not a major attack. Actually, according to the Kingdom of Scotty, it was a clash between noble houses that lived inside the border towns of the two kingdoms. Of course, the reason didn't matter. The Skyfall Kingdom was stronger, and the Kingdom of Scotty was weak. Therefore, the Kingdom of Scotty was forced to bow and pay compensation. Amaya Scotty, or now Amaya Skyfall, was that compensation. At that time, she was only 13 years old, and her body still wasn't fully developed. However, her face was nothing less than perfect. She was a peerless beauty, and as soon as the king laid his eyes on her, he accepted the compensation and signed the deal. However, there was a catch. Amaya Skyfall was like an unattainable flower. She had a peerless appearance, but she was cursed by the heavens. She can't cultivate. She has no talent at all. Of course, to someone like the king, this doesn't matter. He just happily accepted the compensation and waited for 5 years. Yes, he would let her turn 18, he would let her body grow, then he would devour this piece of flower and would collect a new, even shinier trophy. However, 5 years later, another thing was revealed. The curse didn't just stop her from cultivating. The curse stopped her from living like a woman as well. Amaya Skyfall's curse didn't allow anyone to mate with her. If one does, he will die the moment he puts his thing inside. Of course, someone like the king can easily resist the curse, however, it will weaken him to some extent. Obviously, as the king, he cannot allow that. Therefore, he backed away and started finding the cure to this curse. From then to now, 5 more years have passed. However, the king was not able to find anything, and Amaya Skyfall, well, she just stayed inside her room, as everyone avoided her like a plague. A 13-year-old girl who was sold by her parents to another kingdom. There she was ghosted by everyone around her, living a dull, lifeless life, waiting to die. A pitiful girl indeed. Allura muttered, and hearing her voice, Nux knew she was sad. Or sad. However, he didn't say anything. "But why are you suddenly asking about that pitiful girl?" Suddenly, Allura questioned. A wry smile appeared on Nux's face as he answered. "The pitiful girl you are talking about is the leader of the 1,000 Information Chamber," Nux revealed, and Allura's eyes widened in surprise. "What?" "Yes, Amaya Skyfall is the leader of the 1,000 Information Chamber, and that is not it," Nux repeated. Then he glanced at the screen that had appeared in front of his face. Physique. This was something he had never seen before. Devouring mist demon physique. Is that the reason behind that curse of hers? Nux thought inwardly. Wait. Suddenly Nux's eyes widened as he recalled something. The Supreme Harem God System has been successfully installed. From now on, the host can gain the power, talent, physique, and bloodline of the women he fucks. This was the message he got from the system when it was bound with his soul. However, since Nux has never met a woman with a different bloodline or physique, he had forgotten about it. But now it was different. He has finally found someone who had a physique. Soon, Nux's smile widened. I have to talk to her, he had decided. The woman has a curse and can't be fucked? Huh, curse my ass. I'll think of something. That was his thought. He has found his next target, the unattainable flower, Amaya Skyfall. Then he walked into the room, his conceal was on, there was no way Amaya or Kelton could see him. Then he walked towards Kelton, and a green-colored dagger appeared in his hand. He placed the dagger on Kelton's neck and grabbed him from behind. Actually, he wanted to grab Amaya. However, he was still wary of her physique. It's better to steer away from the unknown. Who are you? Amaya, who was talking to Kelton, shouted out loud, when suddenly a man appeared behind Kelton and placed his dagger on his neck. Kelton's eyes widened in disbelief as well. However, seeing that pointed dagger on his neck, he didn't move. He quickly calmed himself, and just as he was about to take his dagger out of his storage ring, he heard a voice. Calm down, don't do something stupid. I could have killed you if I wanted to, and you would have died without knowing how and what happened. I mean no harm, Nux muttered.
Of course, Kelton wasn't going to listen to him, however, Allura differed. "Kelton, stop," Allura ordered. A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he commented, "It's always nice to talk to smart people." "Who are you?" Kelton questioned as he calmed himself. Actually, he was wary of this man who had literally appeared out of nowhere. However, he was giving himself too much credit. Nux didn't even care about it. He was just a prop he could use to make his entry cooler. That's it. His main target was Amaya, the woman sitting in front of him. I didn't know the leader of the 1,000 Information Chamber was such a young woman. Kelton's eyes widened in surprise. How did he know? That was his thoughts. Amaya, however, seemed to have expected this and wasn't really surprised. Then a small smile appeared on her face as she questioned, "Are you the lover Allura had been going out with behind the king's back?" "Are you the lover Allura had been going out with behind the king's back?" Amaya questioned, and Nux's eyes widened in surprise. "From your reaction, it looks like I am right," Amaya then chuckled. Nux's eyes widened even more when he realized what had just happened. What Amaya said was just a guess. She wasn't sure about it. However, she questioned it so convincingly that he thought that she already knew about it and reacted in a way he shouldn't have. What the hell? Why is dealing with her so difficult? Nux wondered in surprise. He then noticed that Amaya was observing him with a small smile on her face. It was as if she was enjoying his reactions. And for some reason, Nux did not like that gaze at all. However, instead of being angry, Nux calmed down. Then, after taking a deep breath, Nux questioned, "How did you know?" "You must have already heard what I was saying before, didn't you?" Nux decided to be honest and nodded. "As I said, Edda and Allura were a little too close than normal. Then, after Edda disappeared and the whole spy thing that continued after that, one thing bugged me. Edda, Alger, Adria, and Algerama, the main players of this incident, were mentioned. However, no one mentioned Allura, who was unusually close to Edda. Neither did the concubine herself step forward. Something felt wrong. I then started reading Allura's logs and noticed that last week she left the royal palace 2 times, an irregular behavior. Of course, this was not enough to suspect her. However, coincidentally, the day Allura left the royal palace was the day Edda disappeared and everything happened. Not only that, but this time Allura didn't stop anywhere in particular. She just rode in her carriage for a few hours and returned, another irregular behavior. This was suspicious in my book. I kept my eyes on her for 2 days, and although I didn't notice something weird, I felt something was wrong. She was unusually quiet. Then I sent a spy to spy on Allura, and the spy I sent returned with a pale face and was acting weirdly. This could not be a coincidence anymore. Something was wrong with Allura for sure, Amaya replied. However, Nux just furrowed his brows and questioned, "But that doesn't explain how you knew why I and Allura were lovers." "Well, that was just a guess. You have to be very skilled if you can roam around the royal palace and appear behind a Grand Master stage cultivator like that. Making you a subordinate shouldn't be easy. Therefore, I assumed you were the boss. As for your relation with Allura, well, lovers was the first thing that came to my mind, and luckily, I was right," Amaya answered. "You are an intelligent woman indeed," Nux nodded. "Thank you for the compliment," Amaya smiled. Then a small smile appeared on Nux's face as he commented, "However, you aren't as intelligent as I thought you would be." Amaya frowned. "If I were you, I wouldn't tell anything to someone who just barged into my room without me noticing. I would be warier, and I would be on guard. What if I don't like the fact that you know my secret and decide to silence you?" Nux questioned with a smile. Amaya, however, wasn't intimidated. A similar smile appeared on her face as she questioned back, "Do you know who I am? I am the concubine of the Skyfall Kingdom." Or, in other words, "You are a trophy," Nux mocked. However, Amaya shook her head. "I am an unclaimed trophy, and the king values me the lot. Oh? But are you sure you want the king to know that you are the leader of the 1,000 information chamber? Huh? Amaya frowned. Then she glanced at Nux for a while, and then she questioned, "Do you really think the king doesn't know about it already?" Huh? This time Nux frowned. "Aren't you from the enemy kingdom? Why would the king not do anything if he knows you're the leader of the 1,000 information chamber?" Amaya chuckled, and then she answered, "As I said, I am an unclaimed trophy, and the king values me a lot. Therefore, he allows me to do everything I want. He treats this as a child's play." "But what if you send important information to the kingdom of Scotty?" "The king knows I won't do it, and to be honest, even if I do, he probably wouldn't care. That's just how he is," Amaya answered. Nux started thinking. Amaya observed Nux's face, and she muttered, "The royal palace is a lot scarier place than you think it is. Actually, I'm surprised that you can roam around here so long and still be alive." Nux glanced at Amaya and understood what she wanted to say. She wanted to warn him, and Nux was planning to take this warning seriously. Maybe he underestimated the kingdom. Maybe he got a little too arrogant. He needs to slow down. Of course, now that he's here, he won't go back without gaining anything. A small smile appeared on Nux's face, and he commented, "However, are you planning to call the king? Do you think you can survive till the king comes here? Let me tell you, if you're thinking to depend on this trash, then you will be disappointed. It would be an achievement for him to resist me for 3 seconds." Kelton's face twitched when he heard Nux's words. However, for some reason he believed him. This man appeared behind him, and he wasn't able to notice it. What is stopping this man from beheading him? Actually, even he was wondering why Lady Amaya was telling everything to this man. She is usually cold and aloof and doesn't talk to anyone. Why is she talking so much with this man? Suddenly, Amaya muttered, "Well, actually, I'm not planning to call the king." "Well, actually, I am not planning to call the king." "Huh? Do you have any other plans?" Nux questioned with a smile. "No, I do not have any other plans as well," Amaya answered, and Kelton panicked. "What? Lady Amaya was out of plans? When has this happened before, and why is she so calm?" Then why aren't you scared for your life?" Nux questioned. Then a smile appeared on Amaya's face as she answered, "I just believe that you are not here to kill me." Why do you think so?" "Well, what are you wasting so much time for then? Come on, do it. Kill me," Amaya chuckled. Nux blinked a few times. Then he chuckled as well. "You are right. I am not here to kill you." Then he removed the dagger from Kelton's neck and stepped back. Kelton sighed in relief as he rubbed his neck. He won't deny it. He was scared, very scared. However, now things were better. "So what are you here for?" Amaya questioned. Nux smiled, then suddenly he disappeared and appeared in front of Kelton. With one chop, the man's body fell to the floor, unconscious. Then Nux turned toward Amaya with the same smile on his face. Amaya raised her eyebrow at his actions. A sigh then escaped her mouth as she muttered, "You weren't lying when you said that he wouldn't be able to buy time." She didn't look very shocked for some reason. She was rather calm. "I never lie," Nux answered. "So, what do you want to talk about?" Amaya questioned. "I want to talk about your curse, or, to be more precise, I want to talk about your physique." Amaya's eyes widened in surprise. This was the second time that she had shown a reaction, the first time being when Nux directly appeared in front of her. "How do you know about my physique?" Amaya questioned as she narrowed her eyes. Even the king did not know about this. He just treated this as a curse and was finding a cure for a curse that doesn't even exist in the first place. Nux just smiled as he answered, "I suggest you do not underestimate me, Amaya. Treat me as if I am special." Amaya narrowed her eyes even more.
She glanced at Nux's golden eyes, and for some reason she got lost in them. Soon, however, she came out of her reverie and took a deep breath as she calmed herself. "So, what do you want to talk about my physique?" After she calmed herself, Amaya questioned. "Is your physique the reason why you cannot cultivate?" Nux questioned back. Amaya stayed silent as she observed Nux. She knew she shouldn't share something like this with someone she met just a few minutes ago. However, for some reason, her instincts told her to answer this person. Whatever, it's not like nothing would change if I told him. With that thought in her mind, she nodded. "Yes, you are correct. There is no curse on me. Everything is because of my physique. I cannot use a normal cultivation technique to cultivate mana. I could do it at first, however, breaking through mortal limits and becoming a beginner stage cultivator is a complex process. I need a proper technique to do it." "And what about the belief that you cannot be touched?" Nux questioned. Instead of answering Nux's question, Amaya picked up a dagger and slit her finger. Nux's eyes widened in disbelief when he saw black mist coming out of her wound. It was only 3 seconds later did the mist disappeared and blood came out. "That is because of my physique as well. I do not know much, but I have this black mist inside my body, and this mist has poisonous properties. If a mortal as much as touches this mist, he will die a gruesome death. A cultivator isn't spared either. When the king was testing if the curse was real or not, he used an advanced stage cultivator. However, the moment the head of his thing touched my special spot, the poison corroded his body and he passed out. 1 month later, he died, and black mist came out of his body. The king, of course, was scared. He knew that even if he could resist the curse with his cultivation, it will have some effect on him, which he won't allow no matter what," Amaya answered. She had noticed that for some reason she was talking more than she normally does. She soon realized that the reason might be because she wanted to talk to someone as equal. She has been in this royal palace for 10 years. Most people ghosted her, and as for the members of the 1,000 Information Chamber, they treated her with the utmost respect. She doesn't have any friends, she doesn't have anyone to talk to, and she lived like this for 10 years. No matter how smart or intelligent she was, in the end she was still a 23-year-old woman who has been living alone since she was 13. Nux was the first one who talked with her as an equal. That was the reason why she talked so much. Of course, this was all her thoughts. If Nux knew about it, he would just shrug. "Nah, I'm just too handsome. You're charmed by my appearance. That's the reason why you're talking more than normal." That's what he would have answered. "So, what do you want to talk about my physique?" Amaya questioned. "And what about the belief that you cannot be touched?" Nux questioned. Instead of answering Nux's question, Amaya picked up a dagger and slit her finger. Nux's eyes widened in disbelief when he saw black mist coming out of her wound. It was only 3 seconds later did the mist disappeared and blood came out. "That is because of my physique as well. I do not know much, but I have this black mist inside my body, and this mist has poisonous properties. If a mortal as much as touches this mist, he will die a gruesome death. A cultivator isn't spared either. When the king was testing if the curse was real or not, he used an advanced stage cultivator. However, the moment the head of his thing touched my special spot, the poison corroded his body and he passed out. 1 month later, he died, and black mist came out of his body. The king, of course, was scared. He knew that even if he could resist the curse with his cultivation, it will have some effect on him, which he won't allow no matter what," Amaya answered. She had noticed that for some reason she was talking more than she normally does. She soon realized that the reason might be because she wanted to talk to someone as equal. She has been in this royal palace for 10 years. Most people ghosted her, and as for the members of the 1,000 Information Chamber, they treated her with the utmost respect. She doesn't have any friends, she doesn't have anyone to talk to, and she lived like this for 10 years. No matter how smart or intelligent she was, in the end she was still a 23-year-old woman who has been living alone since she was 13. Nux was the first one who talked with her as an equal. That was the reason why she talked so much. Of course, this was all her thoughts. If Nux knew about it, he would just shrug. Nah, I'm just too handsome. You're charmed by my appearance. That's the reason why you're talking more than normal. That's what he would have answered. So, what do you want to talk about my physique? Amaya questioned. And what about the belief that you cannot be touched? Nux questioned. Instead of answering Nux's question, Amaya picked up a dagger and slit her finger.
So, Amaya, what if I give you a cultivation technique that is suitable for you? How will you repay the favor? Nux questioned with a small smile on his face. Do not joke about this. Suddenly, Amaya's expression turned serious as he muttered. I am not joking, Nux replied. Then you don't know what you are talking about. You have no clue how hard it is to find a cultivation technique that might not even be in this world. Oh? Why are you so sure that I can't find it? Nux questioned. What do you think the reason behind establishing 1,000 information chamber is? Amaya questioned. Nux narrowed his eyes as he guessed, to find the cultivation technique. Amaya nodded. Indeed, this is the only reason I formed it. It has been 10 years and I haven't even found a clue yet. How are you going to find it? Amaya questioned. Nux, however, just shook his head and replied, You don't have to worry about that. Finding it or not finding it is my problem. You just have to tell me that if I do find it, how are you going to repay me? Anything. I will do anything you want. Amaya replied as her eyes shined with an unwavering will. Anything? Nux questioned. Anything. Amaya nodded. The determination and seriousness in her eyes did not fade away. What if I want your life? What's the point of getting the technique if you can't use it? You can kill me right now. There is no point in doing it in a roundabout way. Nux's smile widened even more as he questioned. Then I will ask you one last time. Will you do anything I say? If you find a cultivation technique that is suitable for my physique, then yes. Amaya nodded again. Ha ha ha! Suddenly, Nux laughed out loud. Remember your promise, Amaya. Also, do not tell anything about me and Allura to anyone, okay? Saying that, he turned around and left Amaya's room. Amaya, who saw his back, stayed silent. No one knew what she was thinking. Then she turned her head towards Kelton and shook her head. She then picked him up and placed him on the sofa gently. Kelton has been with her ever since she was a child. He is the only person she trusts and respects. Although he was defeated by that man today, that didn't affect the respect she had for him. He was more like her father than her subordinate. In the other side, Nux returned to Allura's room with a smile on his face. You look happy. Am I getting a new sister? Allura questioned with a smile on her face. How did you know? Nux questioned back. Well, though I have not been with you for a long time, I have a pretty good understanding of your character. You are a certified playboy that goes around making women fall of his charm. You make it sound so evil. Tsk, tsk. Isn't that what you are? An evil sexual predator? Allura snorted. You know, you and Felberta would get along well. Suddenly, Nux muttered. Other than Thyra, I believe I will get along with all your women, Allura commented. I do not understand why you hate each other so much. Nux shook his head. She's too bossy, Allura complained with a pout. She's not bossy, she's just shy around others, Nux explained. She didn't look very shy to me. Allura wasn't going to be convinced so easily. Suddenly, Allura thought about something and questioned, What about others? Is Thyra getting along with their other women? Yeah, she's getting along fine, Nux nodded as he thought about it. Why isn't she shy in front of them, huh? Why do I receive the special treatment? Nux frowned and then started thinking about this as well. Why is Thyra getting along with others but not with Allura? What is the reason? Nux's eyes widened in realization as he muttered, That might be because of Skyla. She was there when Thyra met other girls. Skyla had the power to lighten anyone's mood with her cheerful face. One has to be a monster not to like Skyla. At least, that's what Nux believed. Skyla, huh? I would like to meet her, Allura muttered. You know about her? Nux questioned. Yeah, Edda talked about her a lot. Actually, she talked about all your women. However, the most she talked about was Skyla. She said Skyla was the one she is the closest to. Nux nodded. That thought is shared by most of them. Skyla is close to all of them. Actually, once you meet her, you will like her as well. I'm excited to meet them, Allura smiled. The two of them continued talking. Soon the topic turned into something lewd, and then another steamy session started. The session continued for an hour, and then Allura closed her eyes and entered the dreamland. Nux, who had hugged her from behind, however, wasn't asleep. He was searching for the cultivation technique inside the system shop. However, soon a frown appeared on his face. He couldn't find what he was looking for. He has checked everything. 1-star cultivation technique, 2-star, 3-star, 4, 5, 6. He searched everything. However, he did not find anything. In the end, he glanced at another list and exhaled deeply. 7-star cultivation techniques, 10,000 system points. This was his last hope. He can't buy any 8-star cultivation technique, so if he didn't find any technique here, he could forget about Amaya. Nux then started searching. He searched, and soon he found what he was looking for. Mantra of the Devouring Mist Demon. 7-star cultivation technique. Price, 10,000 system points. He found a perfect technique, however, he realized that he didn't have enough system points. Of course, this wasn't much of a problem for him. A small smile appeared on Nux's face. I guess I need to revisit Blood Hill Wilderness.
My lovely-dovely girls, we all are going out today, Nux announced with a big smile on his face. Huh? Are we going on a date? Skyla questioned as her eyes shined with excitement. We are going on a date indeed, Nux nodded with a smile on his face. Skyla's eyes shined even more. A date with Nux? Heck yes! Those were her thoughts. However, Felberta's thoughts weren't as simple. Date? Why so sudden? She questioned as she narrowed her eyes. A date with Nux? Heck yes! Those were her thoughts as well. However, she knew this man in front of him very well, and that big smile he had on his face, she is 99% sure that something was wrong here. How many of us are going? Felberta questioned. Me, you, Thyra, Skyla, Lane, and Edda. We are all going, Nux answered with the same big smile. Oh, Felberta raised her left eyebrow and questioned. Allura isn't going? Felberta questioned. Well, she is still a royal concubine. She can't stay away from the palace for a long time, Nux muttered with a sad look on his face. He really wanted to get stronger as soon as possible now. How long are we going out for? Felberta questioned. It will take us 2 to 3 weeks, Nux answered. Got it, Felberta nodded. Now she was 100% sure. Something was definitely wrong here. There is no way Nux would leave his woman alone for 2 to 3 weeks without any reason. It is either they all go together or they don't go anywhere. Where are we going? Felberta questioned as she narrowed her eyes. Huh? I'm asking where are we going? Felberta questioned. Oh, come on, Sister Felberta. It is Nux we are talking about. He must have chosen a fun place, right, Nux? Skyla questioned with a big smile. Indeed, Nux nodded. Nux, where are we going? Felberta, however, didn't back down and questioned. Now Lane and Edda started catching up as well. Something was wrong here. Thyra, however, didn't care. She was just inwardly excited to go out with Nux. A surprisingly cute attitude for a cold-blooded assassin. As he glanced at his girls, Nux knew he couldn't hide it anymore. We are going into the Blood Hill Wilderness, he revealed, and Skyla opened her mouth in shock. How are we going to have fun there? She questioned. Well, I'll be honest, we aren't exactly going to have fun there. There is a reason why we are going there, however, I'm sure anything will be fun if we are together, right? Nux laughed. What is the reason? Edda questioned. Well, I'll tell you guys about it later. I'll tell you guys once we reach there. When are we leaving? Thyra questioned. Although she sounded nonchalant, Nux could see the excitement hidden in her blue eyes.
You look excited, Nux commented. I am excited, Thyra didn't deny it. Then she turned towards other girls and suggested, You all should get a little serious about cultivation, to be honest. Although you are strong and are all master stage cultivators, except for Skyla, all of you would be killed by advanced stage assassins if they attack you, Thyra muttered. Felberta frowned. I can understand what you are trying to say and will follow your advice. However, why is Skyla not included with us? Skyla, who was standing beside Thyra, raised her chest in pride as a big smile appeared on her face. I have been learning killing techniques. Hee hee. What? Nux, Felberta, Lane, and Etta opened their eyes in shock. What? You can ask Sister Thyra if you don't believe me. Thinking that they didn't believe her, Skyla pouted and pointed at Thyra. You were serious about this? I thought you were doing that in order to get close to Thyra, Lane muttered. Then a silly smile appeared on Skyla's face as she answered, Well, I started it for that reason, but then I liked it and... Skyla laughed out loud. She has been learning from me for a while now. Although she doesn't have any practical experience, she should be able to defeat any of you, Thyra nodded. Huh? Even me? Etta questioned. She was stronger than all the women before Thyra appeared. When she heard that Skyla surpassed her, her competitive nature rose up and she questioned. Well, you might be stronger than her physically, but if you two fight, I would bet on Skyla, Thyra answered, and Skyla's smile brightened even more. Heh, she was strong, you know. Etta narrowed her eyes as she glanced at Skyla and challenged. Skyla, fight with me. Thyra, however, shook her head. What Skyla is learning are killing techniques. It isn't child's play. You cannot spar with her, especially when you know practically nothing about the technique. All right, we will be going to the Blood Hill Wilderness. Let's leave after breakfast, Felberta announced. She may not show it, however, she didn't like the fact that she was the weakest among all of Nux's women. However, she couldn't do anything about it. She didn't cultivate on her own. She was a pleasure cultivator. However, now that she heard about Thyra's killing technique, she started having thoughts as well. She would learn it, and then she would defeat everyone. She won't remain as Nux's weakest woman. She was competitive as well. Yes, I want to go there as well, Etta muttered. Lane, who was behind her, nodded as well. Nux glanced at his girls and smiled. Good. Then he turned towards Thyra and nodded. A small smile appeared on Thyra's face. All right, now remember, to maximize the efficiency, we will be running to the Blood Hill Wilderness. I hope all of you are in Clovertown within 3 days. Okay? All right, Felberta and the others nodded with determined eyes. Also, don't enter the inner area. Am I clear? Yes. Form a group of 4. Skyla, Lane, and 2 assassins. Felberta, Etta, and 2 assassins. Thyra, you can do whatever you want inside. I believe your judgment. Wait, assassins? Felberta frowned. Yes, all 50 assassins will be going with us.
Damn. Are you sure you're a fiery flame lion? Nux questioned as he glanced at the beast in front of him. The beast was a lion with flames as its mane, and it gave off a dangerous aura. Well, not really. There was no dangerous aura. Its whole body was covered in scratches and cuts. Its movements were now sluggish. No, sluggish was an understatement. Couldn't move. Its eyes that were filled with immense pride and ego were now filled with dread as it glanced at Nux. It wanted to run away. However, it couldn't move. Nux then started walking towards the lion. With whatever strength it was left with, the lion tried to step back. However, it lost the balance of its body and fell down. Its whole body was now numb. It only glanced at Nux, who was walking beside it, and regretted attacking. Maybe it would have been left alive if it didn't attack him, this monster. Nux just shook his head. Then, a sword appeared in his hand, and he pierced it into the lion's head, taking its life. Grr! The fiery flame lion then closed his eyes. The flames surrounding its mane died down, and it stopped breathing. I really got stronger, huh? Nux, who killed the lion, couldn't help but smile. Last time, he had to use all the strength he had to defeat it. However, now he defeated him just because the lion interrupted his walk. Well, actually, he was the one who deactivated his conceal. However, the lion didn't have to know that. Back to the topic. Nux defeated the lion easily. The lion's movements felt so sluggish to him that he felt like he was fighting a one-star beast. Actually, those scratches and cuts all over Lion's body were just Nux testing his poison dagger that he got from Alger. Otherwise, he could have beheaded this lion like he had been beheading other 4-star beasts in one slash. Yes, he has been in the wilderness for a few hours now. With how clean his clothes were and how tension-free his face was, it was hard to believe, but it was indeed the truth. Not only that, he had even killed more than 24-star beasts. The process was very simple. You walk up to a beast, slash your sword, and boom, the beast is beheaded. Simple, right? Of course, don't try something like this if you do not conceal, else you will fail on the walk up to the beast part. Ding! 4-star beast killed. Reward, 10 system points. Fire affinity, plus 10. Nux completely ignored the message in front of him and continued his walk. Nux, I am here. However, just as he was about to attack another 4-star beast, he heard Thyra's voice. As I thought, you are the first. Nux complimented. It's not like it's a big achievement. I am the strongest one after all. Thyra replied nonchalantly. However, Nux was sure that there was a small smile on her face. All right, I'll come get you, Nux muttered. The beast he was about to attack looked around. For some reason, it felt like it had overcome a danger. A weird feeling indeed. However, the beast didn't think too much about it and continued moving. On the other side, Nux activated his conceal and rushed out of the inner area. Then he moved out of the outer area and walked into Clover Town. Where are you? He questioned. Near the entrance. Thyra answered. Got it. Nux then rushed towards the entrance, and soon he found Thyra. He completely ignored the man who lay on the ground behind Thyra. He could predict what had happened by how the group of 3 men were looking at Thyra. The fear inside their eyes was clear. Nux, however, did not pity these men. They should be happy that Thyra didn't directly slit his throat. She was feeling good today, so she must have decided to let it go after beating the man till he was unconscious. Nux then smiled. He then walked towards Thyra and offered his hand. The 3 men who were looking at Thyra with fear in their eyes finally noticed Nux. Then, a small smile appeared on their faces. Someone else is going to suffer the same fate as them. It made them happy. However, what happened next shocked them. That monster that had a cold look on her face showed an amazingly beautiful smile. Then she grabbed the man's eyes, and the 2 of them walked away. What was that? One of the men couldn't help but question. That woman can show a face like that. Another man questioned. That's the benefit of having a handsome face. TSK. If we do it, then it's an assault. However, if someone handsome does the same thing, he is a gentleman. Where's the logic in that? Women. The last of the 3 snorted with a bitter face, and the other 2 nodded. Hey, don't tell Alex about this after he wakes up, someone suggested. The other 2 nodded and agreed. Their friend would be too shocked if he knew what happened, and they won't let this happen. They are good friends indeed. On the other side, Thyra and Nux were walking hand in hand. Looking like a couple, there was a beautiful small smile on Thyra's face, and Nux, who saw that smile, smiled as well. Thyra was too cute. Is anyone else coming right now? 2 and 3. I think they would reach here within a few hours. So we have a few hours with us, right? Nux questioned. A little perverted smile appeared on Thyra's face before it disappeared quickly, and she nodded. What should we do in these few hours we have? Nux questioned to himself. Thyra's heart started beating faster. Then, a mischievous smile appeared on Nux's face as he muttered. Well, let's go and hunt a few beasts. What do you say, Thyra? Thyra's smile disappeared. However, she was too shy to say anything. In the end, she nodded with a pout. All right, let's hunt some beasts.
All right, now all of you are here, Nux smiled as he glanced at the 5 women in front of him. It was his 3rd day inside the Blood Hill Wilderness, while it would be the first day for Felberta, Etta, Skyla, and Lane. There were still a few assassins that still haven't arrived, however, they can't be blamed either. They were only advanced and beginner stage cultivators, and they aren't as fast as them. They still needed 2 to 3 days to arrive.
Of course, that doesn't mean Nux was helpless. He had already formed party with other adventurers. Nux then turned towards 4 assassins that were standing behind Thyra. They were 2, 3, 4, and 5. "All right, you know the groups, right?" Nux questioned. "Yes, I have remembered it already. It's me, Sister Lane, 3, and 4. The other team is Sister Felberta, Sister Edda, 2, and 5. The rest of the assassins are to function according to Sister Thyra's command." Skyla answered with an excited look on his face. Nux smiled. He then turned towards Skyla and questioned, "All right, then what about the rules?" "It is strictly forbidden to enter the inner area, well, except for Sister Thyra. She is strong, she can do whatever she wants. All the teams have to be connected through telepathic connection. We have the advantage and we should use it. We are not to fight recklessly, and no deaths are allowed." Skyla answered like an honor student. Nux patted her head as a reward and then nodded. "Good, as expected of my Skyla." A smile appeared on Skyla's face as she giggled. Nux's face then turned serious as he glanced at his girls and answered, "Look, you're exploring the wilderness with the best experts we have right now. Do not hesitate to ask whatever you want. Learn from them and grow stronger. However, don't take unnecessary risks. Your safety is much more important to me, okay?" "Don't worry too much. We aren't children," Felberta answered. She felt especially weird when Nux treated them like children, especially when she has a child of her own. Of course, knowing that he was acting like this because he was worried about her safety filled her with immense satisfaction and delight. However, she would never say that out loud, especially not when there were so many people around them. "All right, then let's move," Nux nodded. He had already formed party with everyone. Now the only thing that was left was killing the beasts and getting those system points. After everyone left, a small smile appeared on Nux's face as he entered the inner area. In these last 2 days, he alone gathered around 1,500 points. Yes, he killed around 150 4-star beasts alone. The only good thing is he did it very far away from where he was right now. Otherwise, there would be no beast he could kill here. All right, let's start today's killing. Ha 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 ha. Demon-like laughter. The beasts all around the area felt a shiver in their spine. They looked around, however, they couldn't see anything. Well, only the lucky ones would know how they died. On the other hand, Skyla, Lane, 3 and 4 were walking around, and Skyla, as usual, was the one who started talking. "So, 3, what's your real name?" "It's Clara Winkson, Lady Skyla." "Oh, Clara, that's a nice name," Skyla complimented. Then she turned towards 4 and questioned, "What about you, 4?" "I am Sasha Simpson, Lady Skyla." "Oh, got it." "So tell me, Sasha and Clara, do you know the killing techniques that Thyra knows?" "We do know about them. Miss 1 had taught it to us." "Oh, so is Thyra the one who trains you?" "Yes." "How do you guys train?" "We learn the theory and then use it against real humans." Skyla stayed silent. She actually wanted to learn more, however, she didn't want to kill humans. That was bad. As if knowing what she was thinking, Clara muttered, "There is another way to train as well, Lady Skyla." "What is it?" Skyla questioned with an excited look on his face. "We spar against each other." "Huh? Spar? But Thyra said there is only killing, you don't spar." "Well, that is true. The best way is to kill humans. However, if you don't want to kill, then using wooden swords to spar is a good way to train. However, I recommend that you spar with someone who had the same skill level as you. That is the fastest way to improve." Skyla nodded. She then turned towards Lane and smiled and questioned, "All right, then, Sister Lane, you're going to spar with me after we return, okay? Please?" Since they were small, Lane has always been weak to Skyla. She just cannot deny when Skyla looks at her like that. Lane then shook her head and nodded. "All right, but you have to teach me those killing techniques as well. Of course, you can count on me. All right, let's start killing some beasts now, Lane muttered. Skyla nodded. She then looked around, and soon her eyes fell on a one-star beast, and she rushed towards it. A sword then appeared in her hand, and she attacked the beast. The beast tried to block his attack with his claws. However, the strength behind her attack was higher than normal. Therefore, the beast's body flew away and clashed with the tree. Don't give the opponent any time to rest. Skyla recalled Thyra's teaching as she rushed towards the beast, which was a gale wolf, which is known for its speed. However, against Skyla, who was a master stage cultivator, its speed wasn't worth mentioning. Before the wolf could stand back on its legs, Skyla appeared near it, and then she pierced her sword into its head, where its brain was. The beast's body twitched a little, then it stopped breathing. Skyla killed her first beasts, and she did it amazingly and decisively. Clara, who watched everything, couldn't help but be shocked. What the hell? What the hell? Clara's mouth was opened wide in shock. Lane, who was standing beside her, frowned. Why are you so shocked? You aren't? Clara questioned. Well, she was a little decisive with her moves, I agree, but aren't you overreacting? It was just a one-star beast. It's not about what rank the beast was, it's about... About what? Didn't you see how quick and decisive she was? Isn't this her first time killing a living thing? Why does she look like an experienced killer? Also, don't you find the contrast between her cute face and decisive killing a little too shocking? Clara questioned. Lane, however, shook her head and answered, We are cultivators as well, you know. We were taught cultivation so that we can protect Lady Felberta. How are we supposed to protect Lady Felberta if we aren't prepared to kill? Although we were forced to kill, mentally, we were prepared to do it. Killing a beast is nothing. We can even kill a human if he wanted to harm Lady Felberta, or Nux. Our daggers won't tremble like you are imagining in your mind. A determined look combined with a small blush appeared on Lane's face as she muttered. Clara was taken aback by Lane's answer. However, soon a small smile appeared on her face, and she nodded in understanding. Lane and Skyla were the same as her, only luckier. While she was forced to kill humans ever since she was 7, Lane and Skyla were taken in as bodyguards and were trained to protect someone else. It is only natural that they are prepared to kill. Of course, Clara knew it won't be as easy as Lane thinks. When it comes to killing humans, the pressure is a lot higher than normal. Although her dagger may not tremble before killing the human, however, it will tremble once you killed him. A wry smile appeared on Clara's face as she remembered the first time she killed a human. However, soon she shook her head and decided to change the topic. What about Lady Felberta? How do you think she is doing? I don't know. However, I am sure she won't be having a hard time as well. And Lane was right. Right now, Felberta was standing in front of a dead one-star earth bear. There was blood on her feet, and she was... What the hell? Clara's mouth was opened wide in shock. Lane, who was standing beside her, frowned. Why are you so shocked? You aren't? Clara questioned. Well, she was a little decisive with her moves, I agree, but aren't you overreacting? It was just a one-star beast. It's not about what rank the beast was, it's about... About what? Didn't you see how quick and decisive she was? Isn't this her first time killing a living thing? Why does she look like an experienced killer? Also, don't you find the contrast between her cute face and decisive killing a little too shocking? Clara questioned. Lane, however, shook her head and answered, We are cultivators as well, you know. We were taught cultivation so that we can protect Lady Felberta. How are we supposed to protect Lady Felberta if we aren't prepared to kill? Although we were forced to kill, mentally, we were prepared to do it. Killing a beast is nothing. We can even kill a human if he wanted to harm Lady Felberta, or Nux. Our daggers won't tremble like you are imagining in your mind. A determined look combined with a small blush appeared on Lane's face as she muttered. Clara was taken aback by Lane's answer. However, soon a small smile appeared on her face and she nodded in understanding. Lane and Skyla were the same as her, only luckier. While she was forced to kill humans ever since she was 7, Lane and Skyla were taken in as bodyguards and were trained to protect someone else. It is only natural that they are prepared to kill. Of course, Clara knew it won't be as easy as Lane thinks. When it comes to killing humans, the pressure is a lot higher than normal. Although her dagger may not tremble before killing the human, however, it will tremble once you killed him. A wry smile appeared on Clara's face as she remembered the first time she killed a human. However, soon she shook her head and decided to change the topic. "What about Lady Felberta? How do you think she is doing?" I don't know. However, I am sure she won't be having a hard time as well." And Lane was right. Right now, Felberta was standing in front of a dead 1-star Earth bear. There was blood on her feet, and she was looking at the bear with an expressionless face. Suddenly, she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned around and saw Etta standing behind her. "Are you okay?" Etta questioned. "Yes, I'm fine. Something like this won't bother me." Felberta nodded and smiled. She won't deny it. She was a little shaken. However, it wasn't much. She knew she would get used to it if she kills a few more beasts. "I need to get stronger," she thought inwardly. "There are too many amazing women around him now. I need to improve myself." This was her motivation. If Nux knew her thoughts, he would only chuckle and kiss her lips. However, Felberta was serious. She wanted to get stronger. "All right, let's kill a few more beasts," Felberta muttered. Etta, who was behind her, nodded. She had already killed humans before. This was nothing for her. She decided to accompany Felberta until she is comfortable. After that, she will start killing beasts as well. As for the assassins following them, well, the two of them kept the eye on the surrounding. Although it was just an outer layer where the strongest star beast is just a 3-star beast, which 2 can easily take down alone, they were still cautious. That was how Thyra trained these assassins to be. Perfectionists. The other assassins were obviously faster than Nux's woman. They formed a team of 2 and hunted 3-star beasts. They were quick and efficient, and brought Nux lots of points. As for their leader, well, she left the outer area as well and entered inner area. She wanted to fight 4-star beasts. 3-star beasts were too weak for her. Also, she wanted to become an expert stage cultivator, and the best way to do that was fighting. Correction, it was the second best way to do that. The first was, Thyra then started killing 4-star beasts. Whether the fight would be long or short depended on whether she was the first to attack or not. If it was the beast who attacked her first, things would take more time. However, if it was she who had the first strike, of course it depended on the beast's strength as well. A 4-star beast is equal to a Grand Master Stage cultivator. Generally, beasts are stronger than humans of the same stage. A party of a Grand Master and around 2 Master Stage cultivators was required to defeat a 4-star beast. Of course, this is only applicable to adventurers and fighters who are not trained properly. This doesn't mean that adventurers aren't experienced. In fact, in this wilderness, they are the ones with the most experience. However, they cannot be compared to the likes of Thyra. Thyra was a remarkably agile assassin, and she knows how to use her speed properly. If she is the one who gets the first attack, even an expert stage cultivator might fall, let alone 4-star brainless beasts. Killing these beasts was an easy thing for her, and, of course, the number of system points she collected for Nux was the highest. Thyra continued killing and moving from one place to another. Then, suddenly, while she was walking, someone tapped her on the shoulder. Her body jerked in surprise. Then she turned around and saw it was Nux. "Hello, my cute assassin. I see you have been killing a lot of poor beasts." "What is it?" Thyra questioned with a red face. She was a little embarrassed by how surprised she acted. "Oh, are you not happy to see me here?" Nux asked with a smile. "I am, but why are you here?" Thyra questioned. Then a smile appeared on Nux's face as he answered, "I've been waiting for you."
"I have been waiting for you," Nux murmured with a smile on his face. "Why were you waiting for me?" Although she tried to keep an expressionless face, a small smile couldn't help but appear on Thyra's face, and she questioned. "Well, I sensed you were close to me. I felt that you might be able to help me with what I'm about to do next." "What do you need help with?" Thyra questioned. Actually, she may look very normal right now. Inwardly, she was all smiles. She was glad that she could help Nux. "Well, I wanted to kill the 4-star beasts around this area. However, I thought about a better plan, but I'm not sure if I could do it alone," Nux muttered. "What's the better plan you're talking about?" Thyra questioned. Then, suddenly, Nux picked her up like a potato stack as he muttered, "Follow me." "I can't exactly do what you're telling me to do," Thyra complained. "If he wants to carry her, why not carry her on his back, or even better, carry her like a princess?" Thyra's face reddened when she thought about it. Her mind was filled with all sorts of fantasies as well. As if hearing Thyra's thoughts, Nux adjusted himself a little, then he carried her like a princess. A small smile appeared on Thyra's face as she glanced at Nux's face from this new angle. "He looks handsome from here as well," she thought, and her face turned even redder. Suddenly, Nux turned his head and smiled at her. "Follow me." "I can't exactly do what you're telling me to do," Thyra repeated her complaint. However, this time, her voice was a lot lower than normal. She was actually enjoying it. Only a little, though. She was not a pervert with only indecent thoughts in her mind. Don't get her wrong. Nux just smiled and shook his head. Then he dashed forward and crossed several trees. Some beasts wanted to attack him. However, when they noticed his speed, they quickly turned their eyes away. They won't be able to catch him. It will just be a waste of energy. Might as well find something more delicious. Nux ignored them as well, and a minute later, he stopped and hid behind a tree. Then a serious look appeared on his face as he pointed forward. "See that? I want to fight them." Thyra frowned. She was a little sad that Nux wasn't carrying her anymore. However, she knew they were not here for something like that. She needs to get serious. Then a serious look appeared on Thyra's face as she glanced in the direction in which Nux pointed. However, soon her eyes widened in surprise and horror. "You want to go against them? Are you crazy?" She used their telepathic link because she didn't want to alert the pack in front of her. Yes, there were a total of 6 wolves in front of them. Of course, if they were normal wolves, she wouldn't have worried about it. However, there was one 5-star wolf, the leader of the pack, a 5-star beast. That is comparable to an expert stage cultivator. No, they are even stronger than normal expert stage cultivators. And Nux wanted to face it and its pack at the same time? "You are only a Grand Master Stage cultivator, remember?" "Come on, Thyra. I'm not reckless. That's why I called you here, right?" Nux then answered her in a calm voice. Hearing Thyra's voice, she calmed down a little and started thinking. "Do you have a plan?" she questioned. "He must have prepared a trap or something like that, right?" "Yes, I have a plan," Nux nodded. A small smile appeared on Thyra's face as she nodded, and then she questioned, "Then what can I help you with?" "Can you deal with those 5 4-star wolves that are with it? I'm not sure if I can take all of them at the same time." Taking out those 5 wolves shouldn't be that hard. Are you planning to take out the subordinates first and then team up against the 5-star wolf?" Thyra tried to guess the plan. Nux, however, just shook his head. "No, we aren't going to team up." Then a smile appeared on Nux's face as he continued. "The plan is simple. You will kill those 5 wolves, while I will take on the leader." "You are going to take on a 5-star beast alone?" Thyra questioned in shock. "Remember, Thyra, I was able to defeat Grand Master Stage cultivators when I was just a Master Stage cultivator." Nux replied with a smile on his face.
These two are different things. Expert stage is different. Also, it is not an expert stage cultivator you are facing. You are facing a 5-star beast. It is stronger than a cultivator. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing, Nux answered. His eyes gleamed in excitement, and he continued, I believe I can defeat it. Ferocious Gale Wolf. Cultivation, 5-star beast. Level, 53. HP, 820 out of 820. STR, 81. AGL, 88. VIT, 82. STM, 87. DEF, 82. His stats were a lot stronger than this wolf. This can also be a way for him to test his limits and see how correct the stats his system shows are. Nux, this is too reckless. Do not worry. If I feel like I can't defeat it, we both will use dash and run away. Even if we can't defeat it, I am confident in running away with you. Nux answered. He knew Thyra was worried, and he can understand why she is so worried. However, what he was doing was important. He needs to know how strong he actually is. Nux's golden eyes shined even more. Was he scared? Surprisingly, no, he was not. He was actually looking forward to it. Then he walked out of the hiding place and glanced at the ferocious Gale Wolf. Let's start this, shall we?
Let's start this, shall we? Nux muttered with a smile on his face.
Grrr.
The wolf leader who saw Nux and Thyra walking in front of it grinned and showed its spiky, dangerous teeth. Grrr. It then growled again, and its 5 subordinates stood up and growled together. Grrr. 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 Then its 5 subordinates walked toward Nux and Thyra. As for the wolf leader, it stayed where it was with a grin on its face. It was confident. Actually, it was inwardly laughing at these 2 fools who had appeared in front of it. Other beings in the wilderness avoid it. However, these fools walked towards it willingly. It was very happy. Food walking towards it on its own. If only this could happen every single day. Confident, aren't you? Nux smiled. Then he turned towards Thyra and nodded. Thyra, who was worried before, now had an expressionless look on her face. Then 2 silver daggers appeared in her hands. She then activated her movement skill and disappeared. The wolves frowned. However, before they could even react, Thyra appeared on top of one wolf and pierced its eyes with her dagger. Roar! The wolf howled in pain as it moved its body actively as it can, trying to get rid of Thyra, who was on top of it, and deal with the pain it was feeling. However, Thyra didn't waste this opportunity. She tilted her dagger a little and then forced it out, along with parts of Wolf's brain. Yes, the wolf was dead, and it was dead in one attack. Nux, who saw the fight, was shocked. Mind you, the wolf Thyra had attacked was the strongest wolf after the wolf leader. Not only that, but according to the system, all its stats were a little higher than Thyra. Of course, using the skills she had learned, Thyra could definitely increase her speed and be faster than the wolf. However, the fact still stands that she killed a beast that was naturally stronger than her in one attack. Roar! The other wolves finally came out of their reverie when the wolf's body fell to the ground. They all rushed towards Thyra and attacked at the same time. Thyra, however, just jumped up, and then she landed a few meters away. The wolves, who were already angry at her, didn't give her any chance to rest. The 4 of them rushed towards her and attacked at the same time. Thyra then turned towards Nux and smiled. Then she disappeared and appeared near another wolf. Of course, now that the wolf was prepared, it blocked her attack. However, Thyra simply disappeared again and attacked the weakest wolf. The weakest wolf wasn't as fast as the other wolf. It had just become a 4-star beast. Therefore, it couldn't react in time, and Thyra appeared on top of it. She then plunged both her daggers into its eyes. Roar! The wolf howled in pain. However, this time, Thyra couldn't kill it. The other wolves had already arrived. She then blocked the claw of a wolf attacking her, then she gained a bit of balance and continued fighting.
Nux, who saw the fight, smiled. Then he turned towards the leader and smiled. "I guess your subordinates are busy," he taunted, and since he knew that the wolf wouldn't understand him, he stepped on the dead wolf's head and smirked. Grrr. A dangerous glint shone in the wolf's brown eyes and it growled. Nux had succeeded in angering it. Now it will avenge its subordinate. Then a green-colored dagger appeared in Nux's hand and he rushed towards the wolf. He didn't use any movement skills, he just rushed towards him naturally. However, even then his speed was a lot faster than the wolf could imagine. Nux quickly appeared behind the wolf and stabbed his dagger into his stomach. No, not exactly stomach, it was near his stomach and leg. He wasn't as skilled as Thyra. Although he certainly had that speed, his body control wasn't at the level where he could appear on top of the beast and stab its eyes. That was something only people like Thyra, who have trained for years, could do. Therefore, he could only appear around the places where he knew the beasts wouldn't be able to defend properly. He learned this from an adventurer party the last time he was here. Well, not really learned from them, he just stole their idea when he saw them doing it from afar. Roar! The wolf growled in pain, and it jumped away. Then it moved quickly and attacked Nux with its sharp claws. Ferocious gale wolves are known for their speed. However, against someone like Nux, their speed was nothing to mention. Nux easily dodged its attack and then stabbed his dagger near the wolf's other leg and jumped away. Then he observed everything calmly. The ferocious gale wolf was still moving without any problems, which meant incredibly difficult. The poison dagger is not working. Its numbing power is not enough to stop Wolf's movement. Nux noted this in his mind. Then a smile appeared on his face. "You are weaker than I imagined," he muttered. Then he used Wind Walk and appeared around its third leg. Then, before the wolf could react, he disappeared and appeared near its fourth leg. Then Nux disappeared again. Testing was over. Now he was using his skills. He was actually serious now. Roar! Countless cuts and scratches appeared on the ferocious gale wolf's body and it roared in pain. Nux, however, didn't care. Actually, he could now kill the wolf with the advantage he had. However, he had noticed something. The wolf's movement was getting slower and slower. The numbing effect of his dagger was finally working. Therefore, Nux didn't kill it. He wanted to test how long it will take for this effect to actually work on a 5-star beast. Yes, this battle was nothing more than an experiment now. No, it wasn't a battle to begin with. "I'm stronger than I expected," Nux thought inwardly, and continued moving around the wolf. Now he had even stopped using Wind Walk. The wolf was getting slower and slower, and it wasn't able to react to Nux's normal speed now. There was no need to waste money. Roar! Pierce. Thyra finally pierced the heart of the 5th wolf and sighed in relief. Fighting 5 4-star wolves at the same time wasn't very hard. However, it was exhausting. She wasn't a fighter. She isn't used to long fights. She just goes and kills her opponents. The process is just that simple. Therefore, she fell short on the stamina part. Thyra then exhaled deeply and turned around to see how Nux was doing. She might be a little tired, however, it wasn't to the point where she couldn't help Nux. However, when she turned around, she didn't see a hard fight as she had expected. She only saw Nux sitting on top of ferocious gale wolf's body, which was covered with scars and cuts, with a smile on his face. "How long have you been watching me for?" Thyra questioned. "Not too long, just from the part where you killed the 4th wolf." Thyra stayed silent. So he's saying that he defeated a 5-star beast 1 minute earlier than me, who was fighting with just a few 4-star beasts. And that was when I started first. Fucking monster, Thyra cursed in her head. Suddenly, she narrowed her eyes as she glanced at Nux and then grabbed his hand and shook her head. "Don't." "What? I haven't even done anything," Nux frowned. "We are not going inside the forbidden zone." Thyra shook her head and spoke with a serious look on her face. We won't go that deep. We'll just take a quick peek. No, we are not going inside the forbidden zone, no matter what. Thyra shook her head. No matter what, she won't change her thoughts about this matter. Why, though? It's called the Forbidden Zone for a reason, Nux. I know you want to try and fight against a 6-star beast. However, we still don't have any information about the Forbidden Zone. For all we know, there might be a 7-star beast inside. Nux turned silent. He might have a chance against a 6-star beast. However, against a 7-star beast, he was sure that he would die. Then he glanced at Thyra, who was looking at him with a serious look on her face, and then he sighed. All right, I won't go in. Good, Thyra smiled. You won't stop me from hunting other 5-star beasts, though, will you? Nux questioned with a smile. Then Thyra lowered her head and glanced at the wolf's body that was under Nux. A sigh escaped her mouth before she chuckled dryly. If you can overpower them like this in a matter of minutes, then I have no reason to stop you. Of course, I will be coming with you, though. 5-star beasts usually move around with their subordinates. I can deal with small fries while you kill the bigger ones. Thyra proposed with a smile on her face. She would be a fool to lose such a golden opportunity. Sounds like a plan to me, Nux nodded. Suddenly, Thyra extended her hands towards Nux and smiled. Nux frowned. However, soon he sighed and then picked her up like a princess. Thyra's smile widened. She then snuggled close to Nux, and Nux ran towards his next target. This visit to the Blood Hill Wilderness was a lot smoother and chiller than Nux's last one. He, his women, and his subordinates killed lots of beasts and gained lots of points. 2 days later, all other assassins appeared as well, and with 50 assassins and those parties he had created, along with the beasts he was killing, Nux's system point count increased at a scary rate. In just 2 weeks, he had already accumulated system points required. No, more than required. Then he gathered everyone together and ended this hunting mission. The journey back was a lot smoother. The assassins were ordered to rush back as soon as possible. This time, Nux moved with his women, talking while they ran. Sometimes he carried Skyla on his back as she requested. Of course, the other girls requested the same as well. Even Felberta. Nux did not deny, and the blissful journey continued for 5 days. 5 days later, all of them were back inside the royal capital.
All right, girls, I need to go now. Allura is going to kill me. I am sure of it, Nux muttered with a wry smile on his face. Felberta observed Nux for a while and started thinking. What was it that was so important that he took all of them to the Blood Hill Wilderness? She had been thinking about this question for a while now. She had asked Nux directly. He said that he needed a cultivation technique that is suitable for Amaya's physique, or whatever that is, but hearing this answer, Felberta frowned even more. Cultivation technique? If he wants a cultivation technique, then why is visiting the Blood Hill Wilderness? She asked this, however, Nux just shook his head and spoke with a playful smile. I have my ways. And then he changed the topic. Felberta had to admit, from the time she met the Nux for the first time to this, his ability to change the topic has gotten stronger and stronger. Even she isn't able to resist his flow now. Shh, you're not allowed to say that she was never able to resist his flow. This shouldn't be said, so shh. Carrying on, in the end, Felberta decided to shake her head and sigh. She trusted Nux. She knew he had some secrets. However, she also knew he would tell her when the time is right. Nux has done so much for her. She believed that she would be a bitch if she didn't trust him now. Yes, you should go. Sister Allura must have missed you all these days. While Felberta was thinking all of this, Etta muttered. Etta was the closest to Allura, since she had spent a lot of time talking with her. Of course, this might not be the same once Skyla meets Allura, but it won't change the fact that Etta and Allura are close. Yes, you should go.
To be away for you for so long, it must have been hard for her. You should leave and talk to Sister Allura." Skyla, who didn't even know Allura, muttered as well. Then a playful smile appeared on her face as she winked cutely. "Also, give her lots of love so that she has no complaints left." "I'll make sure to do that," Nux chuckled when he saw Skyla winking at him. She looked adorable. You should go. We all will train." Lane nodded and muttered with a determined look on her face. Suddenly, the atmosphere around the girls changed as they glanced at each other. Even Felberta woke up from her thoughts and started looking at the other women. Thyra just had a smile on her face. She looked the calmest. Skyla had a lifted chest with a proud look on her face. Lane, who usually didn't show many expressions, had a determined look on her face. Etta was looking around with a smile that didn't look like a smile. As for Felberta, she had clenched her fists. Nux, who noticed the sudden change, couldn't help but shake his head. "You guys really got addicted to training, huh?" he muttered. "It is important. We can't be left behind," Felberta muttered. "Especially not by Skyla." Lane glanced at Skyla, and others nodded. "Hey, what's wrong with me overtaking you all?" Skyla pouted. I should have won," Etta muttered. "I swear I will overtake you all," Felberta snorted. Nux, who glanced at them, stayed silent before he turned to Thyra, who had a small smile on her face. This all started after their hunt ended. Nux realized that his women had a little competition, a competition about who will take the most lives. The results were as follows. Skyla was the one with the most kills. Etta followed behind Skyla, then Lane, and the last one was Felberta. Thyra wasn't allowed to participate. That would simply be unfair to all others. Actually, the ranking was similar to what everyone predicted. There was one variable: Skyla. She, who should have been second or third, overtook Etta, and she didn't win by a small margin either. This shocked Etta to the core. She thought about it and realized that it was all due to Thyra's training. Therefore, she asked Thyra to train her as well. Lane, who was always beside Skyla, felt left out, and she started training as well. As for Felberta, well, she was at last, which everyone had already expected. However, everyone expected doesn't mean Felberta was satisfied. She was the most competitive out of all the women, therefore she started training as well. She would not be left behind. Not at all. As for Skyla, well, she was already winning, so how could she give her spot to anyone else? She already had a plan on how to get Nux to give her extra attention after she feigns being tired due to the training. Thinking about it, she smiled mischievously. Thyra, who saw this as an opportunity, was glad to train everyone. Why? That was because she wanted them to be helpful to Nux. She didn't want them to be some baggage who were just there to receive Nux's protection. She would have ignored it if it was someone else. However, these were her sisters. You can say that it was her own way of showing her acceptance and willingness to be with everyone. Therefore, she didn't hide anything and told them everything she knew. Of course, since it only started 5 days ago and they were coming back at that time, the women weren't able to train much. However, their determination didn't fade away. Rather, it only grew. Actually, Nux wanted to train as well. He has seen how Thyra fights, and he was impressed. Thyra was simply amazing. He wanted to learn from her as well. However, Thyra shook her head and refused to train him. "You will receive my special training, and that would need time. We will talk about it after we return to the mansion." That was her answer. Actually, he wanted to talk to her right now, but talking with Allura was much more important right now, and he was planning to do just that. "Lady Allura, have you eaten lunch?" a maid questioned. "Yes, I have. You can take the plates," Allura answered with a lazy look on her face. The maid nodded as she then placed the plates on her table. However, just as she was about to leave, she stopped and turned around. "Lady Allura," she called. "What is it?" "Lady Allura, are you okay?" the maid questioned. Of course I am. Why would I not be?" Allura frowned. Well, you and headmaid Etta got a little close before she sacrificed herself. You also look a little lost sometimes, so I thought you were a little sad," the maid muttered. She had immense respect for headmaid Etta, and that respect only increased when she heard about her sacrifice. However, this time, along with feeling deep gratitude and respect, she was feeling sad as well. She cried alone in her room for 4 days. "Don't worry, I'm fine. Although I am a little shaken by her death, I know her well enough to know that she wouldn't want to grieve her death," Allura muttered. Actually, only she knew how hard it was for her to say those words. "Tisk, tisk. You really presented yourself as a great character, huh? If only these people knew that you faked your death just because you were horny. I wonder what kind of face they would make." Allura thought about it and then shook her head. These last few weeks have been too torturous for her. Why? Because she was bored. To make matters worse, there were no other rumors inside the royal palace. The whole palace was filled with talks about the sacrifice of headmaid Etta. "Hey, why did you think that I was sad?" suddenly Allura questioned. "Well, for one, Lady Allura hasn't left the palace for 3 weeks straight. That has never happened before," the maid answered, and Allura's eyes shined in realization. "That's true. I haven't left the palace for a long time now," Allura thought inwardly. Actually, it wasn't like she couldn't leave the palace, she just didn't want to. She had no will to. "That is not the only reason," the maid muttered. Actually, she never talked to Allura willingly before. It was always Allura who called her first. However, today it was different. The maid's reason for that was because she realized that Allura was close to Etta, and since she knew she was bored, she took the initiative to talk to her in order to pay respect to Etta's soul. A twisted concept, but whatever. What are the other reasons?" Allura questioned with interest. "Lady Allura has been—" The maid wanted to continue talking, however, suddenly Allura's expression changed and she interrupted her. "Ah, I just realized it. Mary, I had something to do right now, so I can't talk to you. I will ask you to leave now." "What?" "Oh, as you say, Lady Allura." The maid was surprised. However, she quickly came out of her reverie and nodded. Then she stood up and bowed, and then she left the room with the table that carried the plates Allura used. After the maid left, a small smile appeared on Allura's face. However, as if she remembered something, her smile disappeared and she scoffed. "Tisk, tisk. You really remembered me, huh?" Then a dangerously handsome man appeared in front of her. He had golden eyes, black hair, a muscular build, and that annoying but charming smile on his face. The man then stepped forward as he brought his face dangerously close to hers and whispered seductively, "I'm back. Did you miss me, darling?" Allura's heart skipped a beat. However, this time she was no inexperienced girl. She won't go down so easily. She quickly controlled her emotions as she moved back and turned her face away with a, "Humph. You said you will only be gone for 2 weeks. However, you were back after 3 weeks. Humph, humph. Do you even care about me?" she complained. "Oh, so are you angry?" Suddenly Nux stood up and walked towards the door in Allura's room. Then he shut the door close, locked it from inside, and turned around with a dangerous smile on his face. "I apologize for what I have done, Lady Allura. How about I repay the damage done with my body?" Nux offered. A small blush appeared on Allura's face. However, she decided to act like Nux didn't see it. Nux shook his head with a wry smile, accepting it. He didn't see her blush, okay? There was no blush to begin with. He was getting good at training his mind. "Humph, you think you can get away that easily?" Allura then questioned. Nux walked towards her with that same dangerous smile on his face. Then he picked her up and placed her on his lap. Allura, of course, didn't deny his touch at all. Nux then placed his chin on Allura's shoulder and whispered softly, Then what would I have to do to satisfy you, darling? A weird jolt of pleasure assaulted Allura's body, and she nearly moaned. However, she still controlled herself. She needed to be strong. Only then could she get the best deal out of this. "Humph, I want you to be with me for the rest of the day," she offered. Of course, she wasn't really thinking this was possible. She just started with a big price, and then she would negotiate with an upper hand. This is business. However, she didn't get the answer she expected. "Huh? What?" A frown appeared on Allura's face. "I will be staying with you for the rest of the day, darling," Nux muttered, as he started caressing Allura's soft breasts. "Really?" Allura questioned, trying hard to contain her moan. "Of course. Why would I ever lie to you, darling?" Nux muttered. Then his hand moved near her important place, and then, Allura moaned out loud. This would be a long, long day.
Stop. The maid, who was walking towards Allura's room while dragging a table that had Allura's evening tea on the top, was stopped by someone. The maid frowned. She then raised her head and looked at the man, who wore a black formal coat over a white shirt. His hairs were a little white, showing that his age was catching up to him. However, his posture was straight and full of strength. The maid knew this man. He was Bruce, Lady Allura's bodyguard. "What is it, Sir Bruce?" the maid questioned respectfully. "You can't go in. Lady Allura is busy right now," Bruce informed. "But the tea?" "You don't have to worry about that. Just leave the table here. You can return after at the fixed time," Bruce instructed. "As you say, Sir Bruce." The maid nodded, and then, after a slight bow, she turned around. While she was walking away, the maid started thinking, "Why isn't he letting me enter the room?" Then the maid's eyes widened in realization, and she nodded with a small smile on her face. "Lady Allura is kinder than I thought. She is actually sad about head maid Edda's death. However, she doesn't want anyone else to know about it. She must be grieving inside the room right now." The maid then nodded again. Her respect for Lady Allura increased as well. "Head maid Edda, though you may have left this world, you are still alive in our heart," the maid muttered inwardly and got a little melancholic. Then the maid shook her head as she came out of her reverie and continued with her work. On the other side, Bruce looked at the table in front of him with a blank look on his face. He then glanced at the room where Allura was, and a sigh escaped his mouth. "Knock, knock, knock." He knocked on the room and informed, "Lady Allura, the tea is here." "Enter." He heard the order. Then he grabbed the table and dragged it inside the room. He squinted his nose as soon as he entered the room. The room was filled with the scent of bodily fluid. Then he glanced at Lady Allura, whose face was a little red, her hairs were ruffled, and her clothes were wrinkled as well. Tisk, tisk. At least Lady Allura tried to hide it, Bruce snorted inwardly, and then glanced at the other man sitting beside Allura. The man had a playful smile on his face, his hairs were ruffled as well, and his upper body was completely naked. Anyone could tell what happened in the room before. Of course, Bruce could tell what happened as well. However, he didn't comment anything. "What are you waiting for, Bruce? Pour the tea," the man who sat beside Allura ordered. "Would you like to drink the tea as well, Master Nux?" Bruce questioned respectfully. "I would have declined if it was any other day. However, I'm a bit tired right now, since I've been working hard on something. Tea would help for sure." Nux answered with a smile on his face. "I know what you were working hard on," Bruce snorted inwardly. However, then he shook his head and nodded. "As you say, Master Nux." Then Bruce poured the tea into 2 cups. Then he brought the table close to the bed where Allura and Nux were, and then he bowed. "I will be taking my leave now. Please call me if you need anything." Sure, sure. Nux nodded with a smile. Bruce then left the room, and once he did, a smile appeared on Nux's face as he questioned. So, what are we doing now, darling? A playful smile appeared on Allura's face as she entered. We will continue after a little drinks break. What a coincidence! I had the same thoughts as well. Ha ha! We are a perfect couple, darling. The two of them then drank the tea, and 15 minutes later, the clothes were thrown away. Lady Allura was really grieving head maid Edda's death right now. The next morning, in some other room that was just as lavish as Allura's. Good morning, Lady Amaya. Here's your tea. Kelton bowed and pushed the table towards Amaya. Amaya nodded with a small smile as she picked up the cup of tea and took a sip. Her peerless face, combined with her perfect manners, the whole scene looked beautiful and calm. Kelton waited a little, and once Amaya was done with her first sip, he started reporting. This was a procedure they go through every single morning. The 1000 Information Chamber is a big organization. They receive thousands of requests and information every single day. Of course, there was no way a single man or woman could handle all that. And of course, not all matters had the same importance either. Kelton had many subordinates. Every day he receives information that his subordinates consider important. Then he filters them out and then reports the more important ones to Amaya. Lady Amaya, Viscount Fred. Tud. A frown appeared on Amaya's face when Kelton suddenly stopped talking. Then she heard a voice, and then her eyes fell on Kelton's body, which was lying on the floor, unconscious. Then she raised her head, and in front of her stood a handsome man. "Hello? You didn't miss me too much, did you?" Amaya stayed silent. She observed the man, then she observed Kelton, who was lying on the floor, and then she shook her head. "You really hate him for reason, don't you?" Nux's smile widened, and he chuckled. "Well, not particularly, but when I thought about how he will disrupt our conversation with his annoying questions, I assumed it's better if he's unconscious. Don't you think so as well?" "No, I do not think like that." Amaya shook her head. She would never admit it out loud that for a second there she agreed with him. It was better if Kelton was unconscious. But it was only for a second, though. Ahem, she values her subordinates a lot. It was only for a second, okay?
Well, not particularly, but when I thought about how he will disrupt our conversation with his annoying questions, I assumed it's better if he is unconscious. Don't you think so as well? Different thoughts started appearing in Amaya's mind. However, in the end, she quickly sorted her thoughts and answered, "No, I do not think like that." "You are no fun," Nux complained. Amaya realized that she is being too passive in this conversation, therefore she decided to change the topic. "So, you finally decided to show yourself, huh? Where have you been for the last 3 weeks?" I have been busy with some stuff," Nux answered, as he sat down on a chair right beside Amaya. As for Kelton, well, he just lay there on the floor without bothering anyone. "Tss, I know what you have been busy with." Suddenly, Amaya snorted. "Huh? What do you mean?" Nux questioned with a frown. "Don't think that I don't know that you sneaked into the palace yesterday. I thought you would come to meet me soon. However, you stayed with your Allura for the whole day." Nux's eyes widened in surprise. How did you know that?" He couldn't help but question. One had to know that he trusted his conceal very much. Even a king stage expert might not be able to sense him. Then how did Amaya learn about it? It was simple, really. Allura did not allow anyone to enter her room after the afternoon lunch. This doesn't match her regular attitude at all. She is someone who would go out of her way to talk to a servant just so she could hear rumors. There is no way she won't allow a servant to enter her room. Unless, of course. Amaya then smiled as she glanced at Nux and continued, There is a man inside her room. She could be emotionally unstable, you know, Nux questioned back. You may not know it about it, but I have been keeping my eyes on Allura. Nothing that would make her emotionally unstable happened. Huh? Didn't the head maid, Edda, die? She was close to her. Oh, yeah? She is emotionally unstable 3 weeks after her death? You think I'm a toddler? Nux turned silent as he glanced at the woman in front of him. This woman was scary indeed. She is just too good. He was having a hard time indeed. Tss, tss. I could have understood that you met her first, then you came to meet me. However, to spend an entire day with her before coming to me, I feel a little sad, Amaya muttered as she shook her head, feigning disappointment. However, this gave Nux a chance. A small smile appeared on his face as he questioned, "Is that jealousy I sense?" Amaya paused. Then she glanced at Nux and answered, "I was just teasing you. Why would I be jealous? What is there to be jealous of?" Nux just smiled and didn't answer. And for some reason, Amaya did not like that smile at all. Therefore, she decided to change the topic again. "So, what were you busy with? What have you been doing for the last 3 weeks?" "Oh, were you missing me?" Nux questioned with a smile. "I feel honored." "Again, you're thinking too much. I'm just curious," Amaya answered with a straight face. Nux wanted to tease her a little more, however, he had more important things to do right now. He has all the time in the world to tease her. Amaya Skyfall is going nowhere. A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he answered, "Well, someone said that she will do anything I say if I give them a little something they need, so I have been busy finding that little thing. I mean, she said she will do anything I want. I would be a fool to reject such a great offer, right?" Hearing Nux's answer, Amaya's movement paused. She wasn't a fool, she knew what he was talking about. However, she just couldn't believe it. "You didn't forget your promise, did you, Amaya?" Amaya then brought out of her reverie when she heard Nux's voice. Her body flinched when she realized how dangerously close his face was to hers. "You didn't forget your promise, did you, Amaya?" Nux questioned again. The playful smile on his face indicated that he was enjoying every second of it. "Did you really find it?" Amaya questioned back. "There is no reason for me to lie to you," Nux answered. "Where did you find it?" Although she had already predicted it, Amaya's eyes still widened in surprise when Nux confirmed it. The technique that she was searching for her whole life, the technique for which she created an organization like 1,000 Information Chamber, but still couldn't find it. This man found that technique within 3 weeks? This was simply unbelievable. "Tss, tss, look at your eyes. The disbelief is so clear." You think I would lie to you?" Nux shook his head, and then a black-colored book appeared in his hands, and he passed it to Amaya. Amaya grabbed the book with trembling hands, and when she read the title, her eyes widened even more. Mantra of the Devouring Mist Demon. Nux, who noticed that her hands were trembling while holding the book, couldn't help but smile. "You didn't forget your promise, did you, Lady Amaya?" "You did forget your promise, did you, Lady Amaya?" Nux questioned again. However, this time Amaya did not respond to his question at all. She wasn't even bothered by how close his face was to hers. Actually, she couldn't even see him right now. That was because, right now, all her focus was on the book that was in her hands. Mantra of the Devouring Mist Demon. With trembling hands, Amaya opened the book, and on the very first page there was the description of the Devouring Mist Demon physique. The book had information about everything she has been through, the black mist, and how the mist inside her body act, how she can't cultivate normal techniques, and more and more and more. Amaya then turned the page. Then she turned another page. Then another, one more. And at some point while she was reading, her body started trembling. This was it. This wasn't fake. This technique was something that would allow her to step into the cultivation world. This is what she has been looking for her entire life. Thinking about it, a small smile appeared on her face.
Nux's heart skipped a beat when he saw that beautiful smile. Amaya really had a peerless face. However, Nux quickly came out of her reverie, and a playful smile appeared on his face. "You finally found what you were looking for," he muttered. "However, if you want it, you would have to pay a heavy price for it." Amaya then finally came out of her reverie and turned around. Again, her body flinched when she noticed how close Nux's face was to hers. However, this time, Nux grabbed her waist and smiled. "You would have to pay a heavy price for it." What do you want?" Amaya's heart skipped a beat as she found herself lost in those golden eyes. "You," Nux answered with a smile on his face. "I want you, Amaya Skyfall. I want your body, your soul, your heart. I'm a greedy man. I want all of you." Amaya's heartbeat started racing and her face turned a little red. She could feel the possessive feeling in his eyes. She was getting overwhelmed by it. Also, his face was a little too close right now. Even his breath was touching her face. "Do you accept the deal?" finally Nux questioned. Hearing the word deal, Amaya came out of her reverie. Her heart started calming down, and her emotions stabilized. She was the leader of Thousand Information Chamber, someone who had made countless deals with countless people. She wasn't someone who would get swayed by her emotions. She won't make a rash and emotional decision. But today was different. Today, the reason she calmed herself down wasn't for her own sake. Today, she calmed herself down for the man in front of him. She is ready to accept the deal. After all, she gave up her entire life to find what this man gave her. It was only natural she would accept the deal no matter what it was. However, the same could not be said for the man in front of him. "I am willing to accept the deal. However, I want to ask you, are you willing to take me as yours and go against the king of the Skyfall Kingdom?" Hearing her question, a smile appeared on Nux's face as he chuckled. "Heh, you are talking to a man who has a relationship with the king's concubine." "I and Alora are different," Amaya interrupted. "Alora is just a trophy. The king won't care about her. However, I am different. I am an unclaimed trophy. The king is obsessed with me. The chances of him finding out about our relationship are a lot more than the chances of him finding out about your relationship with Alora. And once he finds out, you're dead. Even after knowing all that, are you willing to take me as yours?" Amaya questioned again. However, the determination in Nux's eyes did not waver. "I am willing," he nodded. Amaya's smile appeared on her face. However, before she could say anything, Nux interrupted with a serious look on his face. "I am willing to make you mine. However, know this, I am not taking any risks here." Amaya frowned. "Our relationship might stay hidden for a while. However, I am not planning to keep it that way. The same goes with my relationship with Alora. I am not planning to hide it for a long time. There is no way I would keep using my ability to sneak into my woman's room just so I could spend a little time with her. I will do it openly, without hiding it from anyone." Amaya frowned even more. Then a smile appeared on Nux's face as he muttered, "I heard that the king of the Skyfall Kingdom is just an average king. The Skyfall Kingdom doesn't need an average king. It is time to change that." Amaya's eyes widened in surprise and horror when she heard what Nux said. "You are planning to go against the king?" she questioned in shock. "Indeed. As I said, we don't need an average king, and although I don't have any way to prove this, I am sure I can do a better job leading the kingdom than what the current king is doing," Nux answered with a smile on his face. Heh, he had decided to shock this woman in front of him. However, instead of being shocked, a wire smile appeared on Amaya's face as she shook her head. "Defeating the king does not mean you would be able to become the king of the Skyfall Kingdom.
If things were that easy, many would have done it.
Defeating the king does not mean you would be able to become the king of the Skyfall Kingdom. If it was that easy, many would have done it already, Amaya muttered with a wry smile on her face. Huh? Isn't he the strongest man in the country? Wouldn't defeating him make me the strongest? What could possibly stop me once I defeat the king of the country? Nux questioned with a frown. You are really clueless about everything, aren't you? Who said that the king is the strongest man in the kingdom? Amaya questioned as she glanced at Nux, who had now stepped back and was looking at her with a confused expression on her face. He's not the strongest? Thank the gods that you have me by your side. Who knows what would happen if you didn't meet me? Actually, you should thank me that I sent a spy to Allura's room. A smile appeared on Amaya's face. Nux, however, wasn't sharing her smile. He was too confused right now. All right, answer this. What is the cultivation stage of the strongest person in a duke house? The head of the duke family is an expert stage cultivator, Nux answered, and he was sure about his answer. He had confirmed this from Alger, Edda, and Allura. That is correct. The head of the duke families are expert stage cultivators. Amaya nodded as well. However, that isn't my question. I'm asking about the strongest person inside a duke house. What should be his or her cultivation stage? Amaya questioned. Shouldn't the head be the strongest? Nux frowned. Amaya, however, shook her head. The duke houses are a lot more deeply rooted than you think. The strongest person inside a duke house is their ancestor, a king stage cultivator, Amaya revealed, and Nux's eyes widened in shock. I'm not talking about only one house. I'm talking about all four of them. Fulvanius House, Sentho House, Marilla House, and Vestalis House. All of them have a king stage cultivators protecting them from the shadows. 4 king stage cultivators? Nux muttered in shock. 4 king stage cultivators. This was ridiculous. He might be able to fight against 1 king stage cultivator, but how would he fight against 5 of them at the same time? No, wait. Now that he thinks about it, it might not be that tough. However, before his signature smile could appear on his face, Amaya continued. Not only that, but the headmaster of the Royal Academy, the strongest general that leads the Royal Army, and even the queen of the Skyfall Kingdom, all of them are king stage experts. Nux gulped. 8 king stage experts. Let's say he can fight against 5 of them at the same time. However, can he fight against 8 king stage cultivators at the same time? The chances were low, very low. However, that doesn't mean that they don't exist. He could still fight against 8 king stage cultivators at the same time if he improves himself and buys a few more 7-star abilities from the system. However, thinking about the situation calmly, a frown appeared on Nux's face. Seeing that frown, Amaya smiled. It seems that you understand what I'm trying to say, she muttered. Why hasn't anyone betrayed the king yet? Nux questioned. If the king of the kingdom was only a king stage cultivator, then how is he able to rule the other 7 king stage cultivators? This shouldn't be possible. Let's say the queen and the general are extremely loyal to him. That makes it 3 king stage cultivators on the king's side. But why aren't the 5 king stage cultivators collaborating with each other? That's a good question. Everyone says that the king is just an average king. Then why hasn't he been replaced yet? They say that he doesn't care about anything and every decision he makes is mostly decided by his ministers that are from the duke houses. Then why aren't the duke houses taking advantage of this situation? Why? Why has the king of the Skyfall Kingdom not fallen yet? Amaya shot a few more questions, and the more she asked, the deeper Nux frowned. Then he glanced at Amaya, waiting for her to answer all these questions. Amaya understood what he wanted, therefore she didn't keep the suspense for long and answered. The answer to all these questions is the Dowager, Astaria Skyfall, the strongest being in the Skyfall Kingdom and probably the world, an Emperor stage cultivator, Amaya informed. An Emperor stage cultivator? But didn't they say that there are no Emperor stage cultivators alive in the world right now? Nux questioned.
That is just a piece of false information. Emperor stage cultivators are still alive, however, they are very rare. There are only 4 Emperor stage cultivators in the whole world right now, each living in one of the 4 kingdoms, and Astaria Skyfall is the strongest of them all. That is also the reason why the Skyfall Kingdom is known to be the strongest kingdom in this world. And then Amaya continued, also, do not put Emperor stage and other cultivation stages in the same category. Huh? What do you mean? An Emperor is different. A King stage cultivator will be overwhelmed if he faces 100 expert stage cultivators. However, an Emperor can deal with thousands of King stage cultivators without any problem. What? Nux shouted in surprise. As I said, an Emperor is different. It's not just a cultivation stage, it's a realm, the strongest realm in this world. They say that only one who could fight an Emperor is another Emperor. There is no other way around. Then Amaya glanced at Nux and answered, that is the reason why no one dares to go against the king and betray the Skyfall Kingdom. As long as Astaria Skyfall is alive, no man who does not have the Skyfall blood running through his veins would be able to rule the Skyfall Kingdom. As long as Astaria Skyfall is alive, no man who does not have the Skyfall blood running through his veins would be able to rule the Skyfall Kingdom, Amaya declared. Hearing her words, Nux turned silent. Actually, after all these clues, he had already guessed that there was someone stronger than a king stage cultivator protecting the Skyfall Kingdom from behind the scenes. And to be honest, he was confident that he could defeat her. It was pretty logical to think that way as well. Nux wasn't a normal cultivator. Unlike others who only do mana cultivation, he cultivates both body and mana at the same time, so technically he is twice as strong as a normal cultivator who is at the same stage as him. When he was a beginner stage cultivator, he could defeat advanced stage cultivators. When he was an advanced stage cultivator, he could defeat master stage cultivators. This cycle continued till now, when he's a Grandmaster stage cultivator and could easily destroy any expert stage cultivator. It wouldn't have been a problem for him to defeat a King stage cultivator after he becomes an expert stage cultivator, and he thought the same goes for an Emperor stage cultivator as well. He just needed to be a King stage cultivator and boom, it's done. However, with how Amaya was talking, Nux realized that the Emperor stage was not as simple as any other cultivation stage, and logically, she was correct. It's called the peak of cultivation for a reason. Nux had a feeling that defeating an Emperor stage cultivator while being a King stage cultivator won't be very easy. No, not easy. It might even be impossible. Therefore, he needed to think of other ways. What other ways? He doesn't know. However, that doesn't mean Amaya doesn't. She has to know something. She's the leader of the 1000 Information Chamber after all. There has to be another way, right? Nux questioned as he glanced at Amaya. I told you, only an emperor can fight an emperor. You will need the support of another kingdom if you want to rule over the Skyfall Kingdom. However, I will tell you this now. Getting the support of another kingdom just means that you will become a puppet. Nothing else, nothing more. Nux turned silent and started thinking. Amaya observed his face with an expressionless face. Nobody knew what she was thinking. She has to have some weakness, right? Something I can use in my favor. There has to be. Nux still wasn't willing to give up. Not like this. Amaya continued looking at him with no change in her expressionless face. Nux didn't back down either and stared back into her abyss-like dark eyes. Arvina Skyfall. Suddenly Amaya said a name. Huh? Nux frowned. A smile then appeared on her expressionless face as she muttered, Arvina Skyfall, the vice headmaster of the Royal Academy. What about her? Nux's frown deepened. If it was any other time, he would be happy to learn more about a woman, especially if her name ends with Skyfall. However, right now, he wasn't in the mood. Right now, he was confused and a little tensed. Even I don't know much about Asteria Skyfall. She is someone who protects the kingdom in secret. Even though she's very strong, there is no way information about her will be out in the open. Actually, other than the king, no one knows much about her at all, except for one person, and that is our Venus Skyfall. Nux's frown disappeared, and he started getting an idea about what Amaya was trying to say. However, soon his frown reappeared, and he questioned, "Even you don't know much about Asteria Skyfall. Then how does our Venus Skyfall know about Asteria Skyfall?" Including me, there are a total of 2 unclaimed trophies in the king's royal harem. Our Venus Skyfall is the other one. When I heard about it, I started researching more about our Venus Skyfall and found that she does not have any type of curse on her. In fact, she's a perfectly healthy woman who can have a baby whenever she wants. However, despite that, the king doesn't touch her. There is no way that horny bastard is going to hold back just because a woman doesn't want to spend time with him. He has had many women who were against spending a night with him. However, he was the king, and he had the power. He forced himself upon the women. Some of the royal concubines have even taken their own lives since they were defiled by the man they hated. Of course, that didn't end well. Angered since he lost his trophies, the king executed their families, nobles or not. No one was spared. This was King's warning to all women in this world. After becoming his, even killing themselves wasn't an option. Of course, if you are prepared to see your family dying with you, then do whatever you want. "Sounds like a jerk," King commented. "Well, he is," Amaya nodded. "Not that you were any different, laying your hands on other man's wives, and that man is the king of the kingdom to boot? You really have some balls, don't you?" she teased. A small smile appeared on Nux's face as he replied, "You'll see my balls soon enough." Then he brought his face close to hers and whispered, "And I promise you will love it." Amaya's face turned a little red. She quickly backed off and realized that they were getting off topic. So, back to what I was saying, there is no way someone like the king would not touch his woman. There has to be a reason why he didn't do anything, and this reason should be strong enough to stop the king of the kingdom. How many reasons do you think are strong enough to help a woman avoid a horny bastard who is also the man who has the strongest influence in this country? Amaya questioned. "None," Nux said. Then a small smile appeared on his face as he muttered, "Except for one, the dowager."
"Except for one, the dowager," Nux answered, and a smile appeared on Amaya's face. "Exactly. There is no way someone like the king would let a woman go. It won't matter if she is from a duke house, if she is the best student that is being protected by the academy, or if she is from another kingdom. The only one that can contain the king of the Skyfall Kingdom inside the Skyfall Kingdom is Asteria Skyfall," Amaya muttered. The more he thought about it, the larger Nux's smile got. Amaya was right. The key to Asteria Skyfall might be Arvina Skyfall. Nux then started thinking, and he questioned, "Do you know anything about Arvina Skyfall?" It would be easier for him to do what he wanted if he knew more about this woman, and since he was sitting in front of someone who practically knows about everything and everyone inside the Skyfall Kingdom, he thought it would be a waste of time if he didn't ask anything. "I have a good news and a bad news. What would you like to hear first?" Amaya questioned, with a playful smile on her face. "I am a positive person, so I would like to hear the good news first," Nux smiled back and answered. "Arvina Skyfall doesn't like the king at all. No, not liking is a weak word. The better way to describe it is that she hates the king with all her existence. That is the reason why she stays in the Royal Academy as the vice headmaster." That's a piece of good news indeed," Nux smiled. "The path ahead seems clear." This thought appeared in his mind. And as if knowing his thoughts, Amaya's playful smile widened, and she answered,
And the bad news is that not only the king, but Arvina Skyfall also hates every man in the world. The headmaster of the Royal Academy or her own father, no one is an exception to her hate. Nux's smile disappeared, and he blinked a few times. Amaya chuckled as he observed his face with interest. The changes in his expressions are really entertaining. "Why does she hate men so much?" Nux questioned. "I don't know, but it's not like you men have something that makes you likable. I kind of relate to her thinking," Amaya answered. "Oh?" Nux then glanced at Amaya and smiled. "So you are saying you hate men?" "No, I do not hate men. However, I can't say I have a favorable impression of men either. If I have to explain it, then—" Amaya started thinking, and a few seconds later her expression changed, and she continued, "If there are two unknown man and woman drowning in front of me, and I only have the option to save any one of them, I would save the woman." Amaya continued to nod as if praising herself for coming up with such an explanation. Nux continued to look at her, and then he nodded with a smile. If two unknown man and woman are drowning in front of me, I would save the woman as well." Amaya glanced at Nux's face with a deadpan expression. Nux realized she wasn't amused by his joke and decided to continue the conversation as if nothing happened. "So, if you do not have a favorable impression of men, then why did you choose to make a deal like that with me?" he questioned with a playful smile on his face. Amaya glanced at the black-colored book in her hand and answered, "You had something I wanted, something I have been searching for my whole life for. It was just a deal. Your gender doesn't matter. Even if you were a woman, I would have accepted the deal." Nux looked at her and realized something. The relationship between him and Amaya was just that, a deal. She may have a favorable impression of him, however, that does not mean she likes him. She just sold herself because she wanted the cultivation technique. Nux then thought a little more about it and decided to change the topic. He would change this situation sooner or later. He just has to be patient. "So, according to you, to deal with Astaria Skyfall, I should meet with Arvina Skyfall, correct?" "Yes." "And to meet Arvina Skyfall, you would have to join the Royal Academy," Amaya answered. "Huh? An entrance test?" "Well, yeah, there are too many people in the Skyfall Kingdom. They can't just take in any random student that wants to enter, right?" "Of course not. In what world would a commoner be allowed to join an elite academy?" "Then how will I join the Royal Academy?" Nux questioned. "Are you a commoner?" Amaya questioned, and a frown appeared on her face. "Yes, Amaya, I am a commoner. Now tell me, is there really no way to join the Royal Academy?" Oblivious to her shock, Nux questioned, "Is there really no way for a commoner to join the Royal Academy?" Hearing his question, Amaya finally came out of her reverie and answered, "Well, you do not have to worry. There is a way for a commoner to enter the Royal Academy." "Well, you do not have to worry. There is a way for a commoner to enter the Royal Academy," Amaya muttered. "What is it?" Nux questioned with an excited look on his face. "You just need a noble's recommendation letter." "A noble's recommendation letter?" "Yes, nobles recommend the commoner they deem fit to enter the academy and grow stronger. Most of these commoners would later join the noble's private army and would try to aim for higher ranks." "Oh, I understand," Nux nodded. Remember, the higher the noble's rank, the higher are the chances of you being accepted," Amaya muttered. "What if I have a marquis's recommendation letter?" "Then there is no way you can be rejected," Amaya answered, and Nux's smile widened. It wasn't like there was no other way he could enter the academy. He just needed to change his name from Nux Leander to Nux Alvi or Nux Bannermane. It wouldn't have mattered either way. However, he felt that it would still be better to enter the academy as Nux Leander. It was high time that this name starts shining.
After all, he was a Grand Master Stage Cultivator. Wait. Suddenly a thought appeared in Nux's mind. Amaya, what is the cultivation of the strongest student in the academy? Amaya froze as well. The strongest is only at the peak master stage. This will be a problem. The gem of the Royal Academy, Candace Waters, is a master stage cultivator at the age of 21. She is the joy and pride of the academy, and is even called the pillar of the kingdom. Many think of her as the most talented individual to have been born in the last 100 years, and already treat her like a goddess. You, however, aren't much older than her. Heck, you might even be younger than her. However, you are already a Grand Master Stage Cultivator. If this is revealed, I don't know how everyone would react. You might even be seen as a threat that has to be eliminated. There's no way you can join the academy like this. Amaya shook her head and sighed. Nux, however, didn't give up. He wasn't done yet. Amaya frowned when she saw Nux's lost look on his face. However, she didn't say anything and continued watching. Time passed by and the atmosphere around the room got awkward. Amaya continued looking at Nux, who had a lost look on his face. Is he really that shocked? Amaya couldn't help but think inwardly. Wow, this must be the man in the world who couldn't achieve something because he was too strong. Amaya realized and couldn't help but pity him. Failed because he was too successful. An amazing feat indeed. These types of weird thoughts started appearing in Amaya's mind. Well, you can't really blame her either. She has been sitting idle for more than 10 minutes after all. Suddenly, Amaya noticed a change in Nux's expression. Amaya continued observing him with interest, and soon a big smile appeared on Nux's face. Has he lost his mind? Amaya thought. However, the next moment, her eyes widened in surprise. Your cultivation? Nux's cultivation fell down. He became a master stage cultivator now. No, that wasn't the end. It fell even more, and he became an advanced stage cultivator. What the hell is happening? Nux then stood up and turned towards Amaya. So, an 18-year-old advanced stage cultivator shouldn't be a problem now, should it? He questioned. What did you do? Why did your cultivation fall down by 2 stages? Nux questioned back. Oh, it's nothing, Nux shrugged his shoulder, and then his cultivation returned back to normal. He became a Grand Master Stage Cultivator again. What the hell is happening? Can you set your cultivation to whatever you like? Since when is something like this possible? Amaya couldn't help but question herself and everything she knew so far. Don't think too much about me and don't treat me like a normal man, Nux muttered. Amaya turned towards him, and once Nux gained her attention, he smiled and moved his face close to hers. You have sold yourself to a very special man, Amaya. Don't treat me like any other men. I'm different, he whispered into her ears seductively. For some reason, Amaya's heart skipped a beat and her face turned a little red. However, before she could fully understand what is happening, Nux moved back and questioned again. So, what do you think? An 18-year-old advanced stage cultivator? It shouldn't cause too much commotion, right? Well, it still makes you a genius. However, it won't be to an extent where you will attract danger to yourself, Amaya answered. Good, Nux nodded to himself. All right, if you're done, you can leave my room now. I have to cultivate, Amaya muttered. A diligent woman, I see, Nux smiled. Yes, now leave. I have to cultivate hard in order to catch up to others. Good. Cultivate as soon as possible. I'm waiting for you as well, Nux winked playfully. Amaya frowned. However, seeing the cheeky smile on his face, she quickly understood what he was talking about, and her face turned red. Leave, Nux chuckled, and then he left her room. After Nux left, Amaya's face turned even redder. Then she kept the book on the table and placed her head on her knees. What a bastard! She thought inwardly, and snorted weakly. 30 minutes later, she took a deep breath and then looked at the book in front of her. She then opened it up and started doing what the book instructed. Trickster, 7-star ability, active skill. Description: it grants the host the power to trick his opponents by binding his own mana. This ability allows the host to decrease his cultivation stage to whatever level he wants.
Consumes 1 MP every hour. Note, if the host uses power greater than the cultivation stage he has set, the ability will deactivate on its own. Price 10,000 system points. Ah, there goes all my saved-up system points, Nux cried inwardly as he glanced at the system screen in front of him. System points, 2,531. He only needed 10,000 system points to buy the technique Amaya needed. However, just like any other experienced game player, he decided to farm more. In the end, he collected more than 20,000 system points. He wanted to collect more, however, he realized that Allura must be feeling lonely, therefore he decided to leave. His women were a lot more important than some stupid farming. Plus, 20,000 system points were good. It was enough for him to feel rich. Not anymore, though. Now he is poor again.
"Oi, Alger," Nux called out. "How can I help you, Master Nux?" Alger replied in a respectful tone. He has been happy for the last few days. Now he wasn't forced to call a cold-blooded assassin in his room every night and tell her something she doesn't want to hear. He doesn't have to risk his life every single day. He can live a peaceful and happy life now. However, right now, he was scared. Why was his master calling him? Is he going to face some hard trials again? He doesn't really want to do that. Not that he had any choice in the matter. "Give me a recommendation letter. I want to join the Royal Academy." "Huh? Royal Academy?" Alger frowned. "Yes, I am joining the Royal Academy." Alger finally processed what his master was talking about and sighed in relief. The Royal Academy. I am safe, he thought, and then secretly prayed for Royal Academy's survival. "As you say, Master Nux." He then nodded readily, not willing to let his master wait. "Good. Also, arrange everything accordingly. I want to join the Academy in a month," Nux ordered. "Of course. I will make sure everything is prepared." You can leave now." Nux nodded in satisfaction. He might be the first commoner who asked for a recommendation letter from a noble like this. Actually, asked was a weak word. He ordered a noble to write a recommendation letter and even submit it to the Academy in his stead. A small smile appeared on Nux's face when he thought about it. "So, you're finally going to the Royal Academy, huh?" Felberta, who was sitting beside him, muttered. "You talk as if you already expected it." Nux smiled. "Well, I just had a feeling that you will join the Academy." "Ha! Don't worry, I'll take care of our son." A playful smile appeared on Nux's face. Felberta blushed, something she doesn't do very often when she's in front of all the women. "I'll count on you for that," she then answered in a meek voice. Yes, she didn't reject Nux saying "our son." Although they weren't officially married yet, Nux was already her husband in her heart. Obviously, her son would be his son as well. "Please look after him. He can be a bit too considerate sometimes." Felberta repeated her words. "Don't worry, I'll look after him." "When will you be leaving?" Skyla, who was sitting, questioned with a pout on her face. Why was she pouting? Well, 1, Nux was about to leave, and 2, Thyra was sitting on her spot. She was very dissatisfied. I will leave 1 month later. The Academy prohibits their students from leaving, and I haven't spent much time with Allura and Amaya. It would be unfair of me to just leave so quickly. Everything else can happen whenever. Spending time with my lovely women is much more important for me," Nux answered. Why are you only talking about Allura and Amaya? Aren't we here as well, or did you forget about us?" Thyra, who was sitting on Nux's lap, pouted. Nux just smiled, then he tightened his hug around Thyra's body and replied, "How can I forget about my lovely women? Or did you guys forget about our today's blissful session?" Nux questioned. I don't remember what you're talking about," Thyra muttered with a small blush on her face. The other women understood what she wanted and nodded. "Yes, we don't remember what you're talking about."
Nux glanced at his women and couldn't help but blink his eyes a few times. Since when did they have such a great understanding of each other? Why are they acting like comrades in arms? Nux shook his head and chuckled. His women were just amazing. All right, since you all forgot about it, then how about we proceed for the second round so that you all could remember it well? The girls smiled playfully. Nux knew the best. All right, then who's first? Nux questioned. Ha, it's me, of course, Thyra answered with a smile on her face. The other girls wanted to refute it, however, they couldn't go against the rule they all created together. I'll surpass you soon, Sister Thyra, Skyla muttered with a pout. Heh, you will need to train for 1,000 years if you want to do that, Thyra smirked. You guys are still using that rule, huh? Nux muttered. Yes, it motivates us to do our best, Felberta was the one who answered. She was the one who is in the least favorable position due to this mission. However, she doesn't want to remove it either. Actually, she was the one who proposed this rule. All right, if you want it, then go ahead. However, know that I will always love you the same. Strong or not, doesn't matter, Nux muttered as he glanced into Felberta's eyes. A small smile appeared on Felberta's face, and she nodded. Hee, I have brought some new ropes as well. Suddenly, everyone in the room heard a small perverted chuckle, and no one needed to see who it was. There was only one pervert in this room. Well, everyone was a pervert in this room, but there was only one unredeemable pervert in this room. Edda then glanced at Nux and winked. Hee, I hope you have enough energy to satisfy me. Ha, says the one who lost her consciousness after 4 orgasms. Weak, Nux laughed. Edda pouted and then turned around. She wouldn't be playing this game with him. All right then. Nux then stood up. Thyra, who was sitting on his lap, was now in his arms as he carried her like a princess. A small smile appeared on Thyra's face, while Skyla glanced at her with eyes filled with jealousy and fighting intent. Let's continue our round 2, Nux laughed, and then he walked towards Thyra's room. Another blissful round will start soon.
Early in the morning, in royal concubine Amaya's room, a figure covered in a black veil of mist was sitting cross-legged on Amaya's bed. The black mist looked scary as it moved around the figure's body. However, soon its intensity started fading away. 5 minutes later, the black mist faded away and Amaya's body was finally visible. A few seconds later, Amaya opened her black eyes and her eyes widened when she saw a very familiar man sitting on a chair in front of her. That mist looks scary indeed, Nux muttered with a smile on his face. Amaya looked around and saw Kelton lying on the floor near the sofa. She then shook her head and questioned. Why did you hit him again? He wasn't even in the room, Amaya questioned. Well, he was knocking on the door. I thought he would disturb you, so I knocked him out, Nux chuckled. Kelton had a poor fate indeed. You have some enmity with him, don't you? Amaya guessed. Trust me, I do not, Nux answered honestly. I pity your opponents, Amaya muttered. Nux chuckled, however, soon his expression turned solemn. Do you trust him? He questioned as he pointed at Kelton. Amaya glanced at Kelton's body, and after thinking for a while, she nodded. I do. How much? 99%, Amaya answered. She trusted Kelton, however, she did not trust him enough to talk to her about her physique. Of course, she wouldn't be surprised if Kelton already knew about it from that woman. However, there is no way she would tell him that she found a suitable technique for herself. That is the reason why she only cultivates at night when Kelton is not around. You contradict yourself, suddenly Nux muttered. What do you mean? Amaya frowned. You say that you trust him, however, when I ask you how much, your answer isn't 100%. That's a contradiction. Amaya, however, had different thoughts. That is not a contradiction.
Then her eyes shined and she answered, "You can never completely and blindly trust a human heart. 99% is already a very high number." Nux glanced at her, and then he proposed, "What if I say that I have something that can ensure that he will never betray or harm you?" Amaya stayed silent and started thinking about it. A few seconds later, she questioned, "What is it?" "It will be a little painful, however, after using it, you can trust him with your eyes closed," Nux muttered. Amaya stayed silent again. She then glanced at Kelton's body and started thinking more. This time, she took a whole minute to think about it, and then she shook her head. "Leave it. He has done a lot for me since I was a child. I won't let him suffer through any pain just because of my insecurities. I'm not that selfish." A small smile appeared on Nux's face. He respected her for this answer. She would rather reduce her cultivation time by half than harm her subordinate. Mind you, she is someone who sold her life for cultivation, so something like this is a big sacrifice on her part. Nux then nodded inwardly. However, he then realized that the atmosphere in the room was a little too boring for him, and he decided to spice things up. "So, what about me? How much do you trust me?" He didn't even ask if she trusts him or not. He is her man after all. Of course she trusts him. The main question is how much. 1%. 1%? Yes, and that too is just a graceful mark because you gave me mantra of the devouring mist demon. "So you really don't trust me at all, huh?" Nux muttered. "Not one bit. You are too handsome. You have the balls to touch the king's wife. You can enter my room unnoticed. Plus, the way you talk, it feels like you are a playboy who has played with many women's hearts. There is no way I would trust someone like you." Amaya shook her head. Nux's face twitched when she heard her answer. "Tisk tisk, to think you won't trust your future man. Amaya glanced at Nux and questioned, "Why are you here, though?" Nux looked at her blankly and blinked a few times. "Really? Even if you want to change the topic, can't you make it less obvious?" Tisk tisk. However, soon a small smile appeared on Nux's face. She decided to change the topic. She did not deny his words. That's a good thing. Nux nodded himself. Yes, he was a man who says the glass is half filled. "Why are you here?" While he was lost in his thoughts, Amaya questioned again. "Why shouldn't I be here?" Nux came out of his reverie and questioned back. "Shouldn't you be preparing for the academy?" "Well, Alger is doing everything," Nux shrugged. Seeing his nonchalant attitude, Amaya just shook her head. "When will you leave? Today or tomorrow?" she questioned. If a marquis is doing the arrangement, it shouldn't be a problem for Nux to enter the same day he decided to enter. There was no need for any long process and unnecessary waiting. 1 month later, Nux answered. A frown appeared on Amaya's face as she questioned, "Why are you wasting so much time?" "Huh? Won't you miss me if I go to the academy so soon?" Nux questioned back. Amaya was taken aback by his response. A weird feeling welled up in her heart. For some reason, she was happy? Amaya, however, quickly shook her head and suppressed this strange feeling. "No, I won't miss you at all." Nux's face twitched again. It was really hard to flirt with this woman. However, he did not give up. "That's the reason I'm not going." "Huh? You won't miss me, so what's the point of leaving? I plan to spend a month and get close to you. Then, once we get close to each other, I will leave. That way, you will miss me and you will be forced to take back your words in order to see me. That's my plan."
You won't miss me, so what's the point of leaving? I plan to spend a month and get close to you. Then, once we get close to each other, I will leave. That way you will miss me and then you will be forced to take back your words in order to see me. That's my plan." Nux muttered with an evil smile on his face. Amaya glanced at his and blinked a few times. She couldn't believe he was saying something like that. In the end, she couldn't control herself and laughed out loud. "Yep, I was correct. You are a playboy who can't be trusted. From your words, I am now sure you play with the feelings of innocent women. I love you, suddenly Nux confessed. Amaya's body froze as she glanced at Nux's face. Then her face turned red and her mind stopped working. She didn't know how to react to that. She didn't hate Nux, but she didn't like him either. However, if she thinks about it, her liking him or not doesn't matter. She has already promised herself to him because of that deal. He only needs to ask and she would do anything he wants. So should she say yes? Or should she say no? She was confused. It was difficult to come up with an answer. Amaya then came out of her reverie when she heard Nux's laugh. That is what you will have to say after you start missing me. Only then would I come and meet you, Nux muttered with a playful smile on his face. Amaya stayed silent. Her mind wasn't working properly right now. She needed some time to register what he said. However, once she did register it, her face turned red in anger and she cursed. You bastard! Nux laughed in amusement. Seeing him laugh, Amaya pouted and then lowered her face in embarrassment. She can't believe she fell for this trick. That was so dumb of her. Also, she was now even surer. This man was a playboy indeed. He knows perfectly well how to play with innocent women like her. She needs to be cautious around him. While Amaya was thinking all of this, she heard Nux's laugh that had not stopped for so long. She pouted, however, and then her eyes shined in determination. She can't stay passive for so long. She needs to do something. Actually, I just remembered that I still don't know your name, she muttered. Nux then stopped laughing and glanced at her with a deadpan face. Again, similar thoughts roamed in his mind. Really? She is trying to change the topic so abruptly, huh? If it was something else, he wouldn't have let it happen. He was enjoying her embarrassed look after all. However, this was important. My name is Nux Leander, your future man. Of course, you can call me Darling Nux, but I prefer Darling alone. Actually, hubby is fine as well. He introduced himself with a smile on his face. Oh, so Nux Leander, huh? Amaya nodded. She completely ignored all the extra information. Yep, she reckoned she needs to learn to ignore his words if she wants to deal with this man. Nux chuckled and then he continued. Yes, Nux Leander. You can use your men to search and learn a little more about me. You do not have to be mindful. I give you my full permission. You are my future wife after all. Amaya stayed silent. A shameless man indeed, she nodded inwardly. Nux just chuckled and then continued talking with her. Why was he here? He has noticed earlier that Amaya didn't like him much. Of course, that doesn't mean that he has nothing. She did look at him favorably, but it was just not to the extent of liking him. How was he going to solve that? Well, it was simple. He just needs to spend time with her. He just needs to talk to her, as a friend and as someone close to her. He just has to make her realize that he is there for her. He just has to make her dependable on him. Actually, there's an easy way to do that as well. Craving touch. He just needs to touch the girl for some time and let his ability do all the work. However, he was refraining from doing that. Reason? Tyra. Yes, while dealing with Tyra, Nux realized something. The effect of craving touch on Tyra was a lot weaker than what it had on Felberta and Etta, and Nux assumed that reason is because of her cultivation. Tyra is a peak Grandmaster stage cultivator. This could be the reason why craving touch didn't work very well on Tyra. The women he would meet later would be even stronger than Tyra. There are chances that craving touch might not work at all. Of course, Tyra might have resisted craving touch with nothing but her strong will. That's possible as well. However, even if that is true, then Nux might meet a woman whose will is even stronger than Tyra's. Therefore, Nux was trying not to rely on his ability. He would do everything alone.
It might slow down the process and increase the difficulty, but why not? Let's increase the difficulty a little. Nux then continued talking with Amaya for the next few hours. Then Amaya realized that Kelton was about to wake up, therefore Nux had to leave. In his mind, Nux decided to hit Kelton even harder tomorrow. Thinking that, Nux left Amaya's room and walked towards Allura's room. Of course, this whole month wasn't just for Amaya alone. He will spend time with his other woman as well. Not only that, he would even train with Tyra and learn her killing techniques. Combining that with his stats, Nux was sure that he would become an absolute monster, a deadly monster. This month would be blissful indeed. Early in the morning, Amaya was cultivating in her room again. However, this time, the veil of black mist surrounding her body was a lot denser than before. Whoosh! Suddenly, the dense black mist that was doing nothing but moving around Amaya's body stopped, and in the next second, it was sucked into Amaya's body. No, it was not fading away slowly like before. This time, it was sucked away. If before the black mist looked in control, this time it looked like some other power was controlling the black mist. Nux, who was seeing this, frowned, and then his golden eyes shined. Name: Amaya Skyfall. Age: 23. Mana cultivation: mortal. Body cultivation: mortal. Occupation: the leader of the 1,000 information chamber. Race: human. Physique: devouring mist demon physique. Talent: king. LVL 9 to 10. HP: 200 out of 200. STR: 11 to 12. AGL: 14 to 15. VIT: 19 to 20. STM: 13 to 14. INT: 19 to 25. DEF: 14 to 15. She broke through, huh? And it's only been 7 days. Her talent is no joke. Amaya then opened her eyes and glanced at Nux. As I expected, you are here. Don't you have anything to do? She questioned with a playful smile on her face. Psst, look at you, being all arrogant just because you broke through, Nux snorted. Amaya's smile widened as she raised her hand and a black mist seeped out of it. Hee, I can control this power now. Be careful from now on, Nux. You dare bully me and I'll devour you. You are barely a beginner stage cultivator. Don't get too cocky. I can beat someone like you without lifting my finger, Nux snorted, and then a playful smile appeared on his face as he muttered, However, you are welcome to devour me through another way, though. I won't stop you. Rather, I am looking forward to it. A frown appeared on Maya's as she couldn't understand what other way he is talking about. However, when she noticed the smile on his face, she quickly joined the dots and her face turned red. You are absolutely shameless. A shameless pervert. Don't worry, once I get stronger, I will devour you using my devouring mist. Psst, that's I say Allura is much better than you. When I appear in front of her, she quickly jumps up and hugs me. And you were just thinking of different ways to kill me, Nux teased. It's your fault that you meet her first and not me. Oh, are you jealous? Amaya's eyes widened when she realized what she just said. She has been talking with this man for a week now. She can tell what is going on in that head of his. He will tease her to death. Come on, just tell me, are you jealous? If you say the truth, then I might visit you first. An unusual glint shined in Amaya's eyes. That deal wasn't that bad. Amaya then shook her head repeatedly. No, he is just teasing me. Night is the only time that I can cultivate. There is no way he would come to me in the night. In these 7 days, their relationship has grown closer than before. She understood Nux better than before as well. He may act like a pervert, and he may be a shameless, senseless, rude, and hateful man, but inwardly he is a good and considerate person. He cares about people close to him. That is his good quality. Of course, Amaya won't say that out loud. Nux is just a vile man. He doesn't deserve all these praises. I'm not jealous or anything. Allura is just a fool for loving you so much. I can tell from a single glance that you aren't a good person. I don't know what Allura sees in you. Heh, says the one who has sold herself to me. Nux laughed, and Amaya's face turned redder. Nux enjoyed her reactions, and he would have kept teasing her. However, right now, he had something much more important to do. A big, playful smile then appeared on Nux, and he questioned, "Hee, so can you control the devouring mist now?" Yes, I can. However, I can only control it if it is around 1 meter away from me. Any farther than that, and it will disappear. Nux couldn't control himself and laughed out loud. A frown appeared on Amaya's when she saw his laugh. Why is he laughing like that? She started thinking. Why does that smile look perverted? Wait. Soon she realized what this pervert was thinking, and her face turned red like a tomato. Yes, the mist won't hurt you now, she muttered in a mosquito-like voice. Nux laughed even more, and then he started walking towards Amaya. Amaya's heart started beating quickly. She knew what was about to happen. However, since she made her deal, she prepared herself. She would not go back on her words. She then looked at Nux, who was walking towards her, and closed her eyes. Then she felt Nux's hand touching her body, and soon Nux picked her up and placed her on his lap? Huh? What is happening? Amaya frowned and opened her eyes in confusion. Don't worry, I won't let you taste that level of intense pleasure so quickly. You dare act so arrogant in front of me. See how I will take things slowly and torture you. Mwahaha! Nux laughed out loud. A small smile appeared on Amaya, and she nodded.
Don't worry. I won't let you taste that level of intense pleasure so quickly. You dare act so cocky in front of me. See how I will take things slowly and torture you. Mwahaha! A small smile appeared on Amaya's face, and she nodded. Actually, right now, Amaya was a little unsure about everything. She can have sex with a partner without harming them. She was sure of it. She had made a deal with Nux that she understands as well. However, for some reason, she is scared. Scared of what? She doesn't know. She just feels unsure and confused. She needs more time to think about everything. What Amaya didn't know was due to her past experience, she started fearing sex. It wasn't her fault either. She was used like an object after all. First, she was presented to the king of another kingdom by her very own parents. The king of that kingdom saw how beautiful she was and accepted her, and then caged her inside a room. 5 years later, it was discovered that she can't have sex with any man. The king even went so far as to let another, completely unknown man come close to her and enter the head of his penis inside her. Although her curse protected her and the man couldn't do anything, it still left a trauma in her heart. Of course, Nux didn't know her thoughts or her trauma. However, he had a vague inkling about how she was feeling. He could still sense some unwillingness from Amaya's expression. Of course, she would comply with his request if he asks her. However, that won't be from her consent. Nux was sure of it. Therefore, Nux decided to take things slow. He will take things slow and torture her. Of course, that doesn't mean he won't do anything. He would make sure to tease her to his heart's content, and no one can stop him from doing that. Hia, would you look at that? Why is your face so red? Amaya, are you perhaps embarrassed? What are you so embarrassed about? Nux questioned as he hugged her from behind and placed his chin on her shoulders. And nothing. Amaya answered as she lowered her head that has turned even redder. Nux enjoyed that reaction a lot. This girl was completely defenseless right now. It was a perfect time to tease her as much as he wanted. Is it something you can't tell me? Wait, you're not sad about what I said, are you? Do you not want to wait and continue what couples do? Are you a hidden pervert? He whispered into her ears gently. And no, Amaya was quick to reject. Oh, does that mean you do not what couples do with me? Nux questioned. And no, That is not what I meant. So you do want to have sex? No. Huh. Nux couldn't control himself and laughed out loud. You do not want to have sex with me, but you do want to have sex with me. What is it that you want, Amaya? Why are you so confused? Nux questioned, and Amaya, who realized that he was playing her like a fool, couldn't help but get more embarrassed. His touch, the way his chest was touching her back, the way his hands were around her waist, and the way his chin was placed on her shoulder. All of this felt too tingly and strange. All of this felt a little too comfortable. However, no matter how strange it felt, Amaya can't be in such a passive position. It depends on you. I sold myself to you. You are the one in charge. If you want to have sex, we can do it. However, if you don't want to do it, we will not do it. My decision doesn't matter. Amaya placed all the responsibility on him, and then she continued. It all depends on you. If you're a pervert who can't control himself, we can do it right now. However, if you are a gentleman like you say you are, then we will do it some other day. Oh, don't you know? Suddenly, Nux questioned. What? Amaya questioned back. I'm the biggest pervert in this world. Nux muttered, and Amaya's face turned redder. It seems she would have to do it today. However, now that she thinks about it, maybe it isn't that bad. Nux was someone who changed her life. He brought her the cultivation technique she was looking for. He gave her hope and helped her step into the cultivation world. Not only that, but Nux was her only friend, someone who she can talk to without minding her manners and without thinking about politics. She could be free around him. And it was fun being around him, so maybe everything isn't as bad as she thinks it is. Aelrig dash. Just as Amaya was about to agree, a big wide grin appeared on Nux's face as he continued. However, I am a gentlemanly pervert, and since you can see that the gentleman comes earlier than pervert, it means I am more of a gentleman. So since I am more of a gentleman, we will do it another day. Amaya, who was about to agree, paused. Her face turned even redder, and soon her expression changed, and her embarrassment turned into anger. Why you dare play with me? Black mist was released out of her body. Nux, who had already expected her outburst, was already near the window and was looking at her with a smile. We will meet soon, Amaya. Come back here, you bastard. Amaya roared in anger. However, Nux didn't hear her at all and jumped out of her window. Until next time, my cute little Amaya. Remember my words. I will take things slowly and torture you. Malaha. Amaya quickly rushed towards the window. However, as she glanced outside, a frown appeared on her face since she couldn't see Nux anywhere at all. It was as if he just disappeared.